Hello, hello.
Coach, what's up? Good evening to you. Happy
How are
Thursday.
how are you?
Hanging in there another week. The time is flying. It's already the middle of December, and it just feels like wow. And we don't have snow yet. Normally we're trucking along in snow, so it just feels like oh, are we there yet? But we are. How
I
about in
know,
your
I can't get
world?
over it. I mean, everything's going well.
Yeah, as best you can, best as you can, huh? Right?
Yep, definitely been a. So I'm like, what is that? My heat just kicked on. Speaking of weather, yeah, been okay. Struggling just a little bit, audience, if you can't tell.
Your
Um,
voice.
yeah, but that's okay. I'm feeling better. That's the biggest thing.
That's that's what. Yep.
It's interesting that, and I know I'm not alone in this. Whenever I'm sick, or let's say there's an injury, or I don't know, it's like, wow, I really took my health for granted. Or when things are going really smooth, it seems like we're not very present. But when we
Right.
are sick, or when sh- shit hits the fan, it feels like I'm
That's
gonna
when we
be.
notice.
Yeah, it's like it's gonna be like this forever. And it seems
Hmm
like the bad times last so much longer. But I
Mm.
think it's still 50-50. We're just more present when it sucks.
Right.
You know?
that,
That's just what I think.
no, that's a
But
good
yeah.
point. Yeah, I like that 50-50. Yeah, because if you think about it, we're just unaware. I mean, the other stuff is still going. It's still going. We're
Yeah.
just not as like our feet. Like if you get gout or hurt your toe, you don't realize how many times you actually stub your toes. Like ow, ooh, ow, like dang, because we just
Right.
right, just take it for granted.
Right.
Yeah.
So
hmm
looking forward to just having
Getting
a lot of
better.
gratitude when I'm
Yes.
100%. Gosh, I'm like, wow, I was such a brat before, but I'll be a brat again, I'm sure. But yeah.
Take your time. You know, healing is not just. I always say before you know it. Before you know, it, you're like, oh, I'm actually feeling better. Well, 2 days now, I've been feeling better. Before we even know it, we're feeling better.
Right. Or
So
making progress before we, you know, guilty of that too. Won't even give myself credit for
absolutely.
that either. But but
Well, listen,
anyway,
save
yeah,
your save your voice for tonight. We're gonna have a lot of
yeah.
and guests invited. If they show up, great. If not, let's give some shout outs first.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Black Man Unfiltered Network. Dr. Nakambi, Coach K, whoever's working the channels. We have a few technicians. So we have BMU, CBN, and A AF AFT. Alexis from Texas works the background
Oh.
sometimes. Yeah, CBN. I was just doing all letters. CBN and
Right.
Black Dave. Yeah, and Black Men Unfiltered. So, welcome everyone to the channel. If you are here live, please press the like button on your way in. If you're listening to the replay, please be sure to smash that like button as you've come in or before you leave. If you know someone that might like this topic, which we're talking about empty promises, which leads to victimhood, like this victim identity, because of these broken promises, or because of this false belief, or because of our core beliefs and how we develop this. Uh,
Right.
Invited a bunch of people because I want the smoke. Now listen, that's how
Right.
when you start a conversation with when you start the conversation with it, that's the quickest way to get into trouble or battle or whatever, and people bring the smoke. But what I mean by bringing the smoke, because I don't want to do story time. There's someone usually chime in. Well, when I was, and but not the stories. I'm saying I believe people can change. I
Mm,
believe people also need some motivation to change. I
yeah.
believe people have that motivation. They just may not prioritize that motivation. I also believe there's certain steps, like we just can't snap everyone into this change. It actually takes some steps. And I believe no
Right.
matter what the situation is, a person can change, but again, with the use of certain steps. And no, it doesn't have to be medications always. It does not have to be therapy always. It does not need to be coaching. Does it
Right.
need to be behavior change? Absolutely. Right. But to effectively engage in that behavior change, that's when we recommend coaching to
Right.
not get caught up in those mental blocks and to help
Right.
resolve some of that or deal with some of that. That's when we say go to therapy. When we
Right.
say if you're doing this not alone, you're in a relationship and you need support for both of you, that's when we say go to marriage counseling or couples counseling. So that's where those things come in. But
Yeah.
even without that, even without those resources, there's still a few things that you can do on your own. Okay, so I want to talk about that today, Coach K and I. But here's the thought, the challenge. I want you to think about your situation or any situation where you think it may not be the above. It's not meaning the people are just on some BS. Think about
Yeah.
situations where how can they not know better?
Like that's the smoke.
Yes, that's the smoke. Because now modern day they'll call it being a simp. You call it what you want to. We're going to break down the psychology of it and the behavioral component. And please, when you think about psychology, I want you to think about the two components. There's one group of Dr. Yahoos who believe that it's all about the environment and all about the things that impact your behavior. There's another set of Dr. Yahoos that say it's all in the mind.
Yep.
All right. So the goal is really to take a mixture of both. But for those of you who think it's only in the mind, we want to show you how that may not be the case. And for those who think it's just in the environment, they should just move. Then want to show you also, well, you can move to Alaska, but you take you with you to Alaska. So we
Right.
want to show you both perspectives. It's all just a perspective. We're not diagnosing, okay? We're only just giving a prognosis. We're just giving a sample. We're just giving us examples.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, there's all types of way to get help. You know, you can work on chakras, you can do yoga, you can do a bunch of things. But one thing we're going to push tonight, please consider how you think is motivated by something. Something. You either like it or don't like it. And where's that? What's the anchor to that? What's that connected to? What's that connected to? And then based on how you feel, I don't feel like doing it, so you won't. Or I feel
Right.
like doing it, so I will. I'm angry, so I Hulk smash. I'm happy, excited, I party like I'm crazy. And guess what? Tonight, we want to show you how you could actually be angry, hurt, disappointed, but yet outside shopping with a big smile on your face.
You know what? That reminds me. There was a coach one time talking, and some of the students were like, you don't ever seem anxious. You don't ever seem like you deal with anything or whatever. And she's like, that's because we all believe that throwing a tantrum or, crying or whatever the real expressive outwardly emotions, that's how
Mm-hmm.
that's what we make it mean we're feeling a certain way. But
Right.
like you just said, you can be feeling angry, whatever, all those strong emotions, still be
And
carrying on with your whatever those duties are, whatever you're
a
doing.
billion percent. Like because
Yep.
how she got all those money problems, how she have all those kid problems, how does he have all that stress? But he's out there shopping, buying stuff, having a good time at the mall, playing with the fellas, video games. See, those two aren't congruent. How does that work?
Right.
So we're going to highlight some of that because I get it. It doesn't make sense. They on some BS, right? That's what it appears.
Right.
So if we have not already, and I'm gonna open up the channel.
Yeah.
I'm gonna open up the site. So
I
did
will
we already
have
give some
some
acknowledgments?
I will
Thank
do
you.
that.
Awesome, awesome.
Hello. All right. So who we have in the audience? We have grooming and reviews. Hey, shout out to you. I will say grooming and reviews. You've kind of inspired me a little bit about I think it's quitting the vaping. Um, just that title is really I'm gonna have to look at what your title is, but that has inspired me. I just want to let you know.
Have you
Um,
seen these shows lately about hair and beards and letting go?
I don't really follow that, but
Okay, all right, yeah, you gotta check him
but
out. Check him out.
well,
Uh, yeah, the
if
conversations
the
are more
message,
enlightening than, huh?
well, I don't. Well, there might be an underlying message that I could definitely take away because I
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
ah,
If it doesn't
beard and shit.
resonate, yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, yeah. You might look at him like,
but
what the hell? Because I
but
call
there
him
might
the
be
ball Spartan. But yeah,
but there might be a message that I can relate to something else, you know.
absolutely. Or pass on to
Uh,
someone else.
right, for sure. Um, but we also have Andre. Hey, Andre, Andre Terry. We have Scam Likely leaves dust in just dust in the chat. We have
Andre
oh
scam.
oh OGJ Speed. What's going on?
Oh,
Just saw
perfect,
him.
perfect.
Yeah, he was on Fatty's channel, um, looking all clean cut with a hoodie on. I was like, oh, you look all snug. Um, I know. I think he's in California. I wonder what the temperature is over there.
Must be nice.
We have Lindsay Smith. She says, "Hey, just listening.
Oh, what's
Cheers.
up, Lindsay?
Good to see you, Lindsay." We have Lou Medic.
Lou
Thanks for
Medic's in
being
the
here.
house. All right.
Good to see you. Scam also says motivators being fear and love. Yes.
Motivation. Yeah, love. Okay, not sure what that means, but we'll be talking about motivation too. How do you motivate? For those who were catching it last week, how do we motivate that person who's, yeah,
Yeah. Maybe that's like what drives people is something out of fear and love, but maybe it doesn't have to be that. Um, especially oftentimes my teenagers and as my clients, they will rely on motivation. And if they're not passionate or if they don't love something, well, we got to figure out something else. Because if you are requiring love or passion or something to motivate you, or even motivation itself, that's not always going to be there. Schoolwork, sometimes you're just going to have to get it over with despite not feeling
absolutely.
motivated. Um, but more on that later, I'm sure. We have Ara. We have the
Hello.
Seds.
Hey, the
Things.
Deseds and Aura from, I have to think of the,
I think I saw
anyway,
Ara
hello,
last week.
Aura. Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, we saw last week. All right.
Uh, we have Stacy B. Hey, Stacy.
Hey, Stacy, welcome.
Grooming Reviews says, love to jump on talk about quitting vaping for sure. Um, sounds good. We have Paul Bennett, Mr. Bennett.
Hey,
Good to
Mr.
see
Bennett,
you.
Mr. Bennett, what's up, fam? Lady Navoa,
Hey, Lady Navoa, my girl. Um, what did she say? You are on the
you are
what?
on the our love side today. You on the recovery? I don't know. You are on the,
Oh,
I don't know.
oh. Let me know. Lady Navoa, good to see you. She is my girl. She's always been the most supportive. Everyone's been supportive, especially over here. I love her names, the names she asked for me. But anyway, but shout
All
out to
right.
everyone.
Shout out
Shout
to
out to those
everyone.
who catch the
Yes,
replay
actually,
or
and
for
those who,
the
yes, exactly, and those who jump on and we don't catch your name or catch your comment on your name while you're here because we're talking. Hello to you in advance. Thank you for being here. If we're able to drop the link, want to invite now before you come up again. Most people have some stories. I'll be slicing and dicing right through some. If you have like these wonderful stories, we won't be doing stories. I want to get straight to, let's
concise.
talk about the problems that are going on and let's talk about the psychology behind it and what people should do about it and how we can help motivate them. Straight to it.
Yeah. Or if you're willing, things that maybe you could even say that it's someone else, but
Oh
that
yeah,
you
yeah. If you,
struggle with, if you want to kind of be anonymous about it, but someone else struggles with, but maybe you struggle with it. Um,
right.
so
Or if you have a friend, I'm asking for a friend.
right, right,
Yeah.
exactly. Oh, and hey, Treyford, Lady DeVoe is saying that I'm on the left. Um,
Oh, and the
that-
right.
yeah, yeah,
Got it.
uh,
Got it. Got
she's funny. Maybe I was on the right last time. I don't know.
it.
All
All
right,
right, and see
sounds
if we
good.
have some folks coming up, and whoever our engineer is, let's do about 3 or 4 at a time. 3 or 4 at a time, and I want it to be conversational. So we might actually be cutting each other off as if you're having a conversation. The difference is the technology, so we can't actually, so we might end up
Right,
having some what appears to be heated debate, but these are all part of the flow.
right. Black Man Unfiltered says this show is troll proof tonight.
Yes,
Yes.
there we go. Troll proof. I love it. Yes,
You
yes,
know, we're not toxic over here. So if people say they don't want toxic, then
right.
you're at the right place. We don't do toxic.
Our numbers are always low when we're talking truth. The truth speakers out there, or not even the truth. When we're talking the facts or whatever. If we were talking wild and crazy, all the networks that talk all that stuff, then boom, they get all the numbers. But
Yeah.
all right,
And
did anyone jump on yet?
I don't know. Let's see. I will say too, dog, something I would love for us to talk about in the future. I don't think we've had anyone hit the link yet, but I hear people talk about, and it's interesting. It's always talking about the other party in the situation,
Mm,
talking about emotional
hmm.
intelligence.
Yeah.
You've been practicing for a while. You have been in the field for a long time. When did you start hearing this term, emotional intelligence?
Oh, it's been around
Now,
for decades.
okay.
It's a method. Um, it's kind of like a fad. EMDR is the hot buzz, and then it goes away for a little while. So,
Mhm.
emotional intelligence actually has been in the corporate world and in the personal. Almost said civilian, but it's been a business thing to be able to have emotional intelligence. Leaders should be able to do that, and then it's also been
Right,
in psychology, coaching. It's been around forever, but so many people say it has nothing to do with emotion. So whenever society is bashing emotions, then we don't think it has anything to do with managing emotions. But at the core of managing emotions, you don't you won't end up submitting to a lot of the BS because you are actually in control of yourself. Even if I had mental illness, if I know how to control my emotional state, and I mean like I'm aware, I'm strategic, I'm planning, I'm wise in my decisions, I'm careful, I'm a leader. So there's a whole formula with emotional intelligence. People just think it means be wise or smart about your emotions, but there's a whole formula to it. And if you actually put that formula in place, a lot of everything that you and I are talking about probably wouldn't even matter because of that formula that you're able to still move forward.
right, right,
So it doesn't negate it. You'll still have issues, but that particular formula actually helps you to get through the problem. And in fact, the question is, which comes first, the the problem or your thought about it? Because it wasn't a problem until I perceived it was. And
right,
if I'm actually in control of that process, what might be a problem for someone else is not even a problem for me.
right. And that's
Hmm.
right. That's why it's interesting to even ask someone, well, why is this the problem? And what's interesting is what we think is a problem may not even be a problem, or we make it a very complex problem. And I don't know if I've shared this before, but I'm going to say it again anyway.
Hmm.
If we say that it's a vast, big, complex problem, well, then it's going to require a huge, vast, complex answer or
In
solution.
most cases, yes. Here's something to think about. And this is why I say in most cases,
Hmm.
pending your processing style,
Right.
it may be that all of that can be resolved in a much smaller process, but you must address this piece first. And if
Right.
that part isn't processed, trauma,
Right.
perception,
Right.
environment, if that piece isn't resolved, then this is huge. A huge issue, huge resolution.
Right.
Right? So certain pieces of it, I can break it down. Like give me an example of like a huge problem.
Um,
Because
well,
we what we call a mountain, was it molehill to a
yeah,
mountain?
but yeah.
Right.
Um, let me see. So I gotta make something a big deal. Okay, let's say I got invited to a I don't know, a party or something, but and I haven't gone to like the past whatever parties this person has had. So I
Yep.
told them the next time you have one, I'm going to be there. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, let's say I had already committed to something that day. So I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much depth to this. They're gonna think I don't keep my word. I
Right.
um I committed to this. I swear 20 days before, there's all these like reasonings. So
Yep.
take that. How's that
Yep.
example?
So already I'm overwhelmed because I've overextended. I've
Hmm.
overextended. Now I
Right.
can break it down to this one time that I have, but this is probably not the first time I've overextended.
Right.
Right.
The
So is the
symptom.
right. So is the true bingo is the true issue this time that I've overextended. And of course, I'm stressed because what are these people going to think? They're going to think I'm a flake, a fraud, da da da. I didn't mean to. All these mistakes. I'm sorry, sorry, sorry.
Hmm.
Pending the other person, it is, yeah, you are sorry, or you let me down. I already struggle with
Hmm.
disappointment. That's why end up overextending in the first place because I don't like to turn people down. I don't like
Right.
conflict. I overextend. So, again, if you break down that piece first, why do I even do that? And when I realize why I do it, it doesn't always have to be the root. But when I work on why I do that,
Right.
then I start slowing down my yeses. If I
Right.
can work on the power to have my voice and say no, if I can work on being comfortable with saying no, no is the new yes. If I
Hmm.
can work on my chakra of my voice chakra and feel
I
comfortable
need
with,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Just
and feel
kidding.
comfortable with rejecting. See, I'm
Mhm.
so afraid of rejecting or being rejected that I overextend. If I can master that piece and feel comfortable with saying I won't be able to make it, and notice the difference between I'm sorry I won't be able to make it, I won't be able to make it, I'm sorry, and oh I would love to, but I won't be able to make it.
Ooh. There's a different feeling
Hmm.
there,
Right,
between
and
those statements.
yeah, but that's huge for some people. Like, yeah, I'm just not a no person. I'm just not a. I'm a yes person. Or, well, I just say yes because I don't want to argue. Hell, there's just some stuff that they need to understand. I'm not making it to. Okay, that's fair, but that's not really working the problem. That's just dumping it in on someone else.
And
Hmm.
another thing that I would even be curious, and this is something that like, you've said before, coaching is like is basically it's in a way therapy on steroids. It's very quick, very to the point. It's not
Right.
clinical, guys, just as a disclaimer. Um, but I would ask this person, okay, what if, I mean, it depends on their answer. I'm not going to try to point things out that maybe aren't there, but what if like you have gone to the thing, or like if you told them you would go to the last one but you couldn't, maybe you actually have gone, like maybe they're not thinking of the times they have gone, they're thinking that they've flaked all these times, but they're not giving themselves credit for maybe they have gone. Or another possibility is, um I mean, maybe you can go to both. I don't know. There's just
Hmm.
there's possibilities, but when we have this big cloud of overwhelm because we're thinking about all these what ifs, we're not going to be able to kind of consider, maybe it could be as simple as going to both,
Right.
or whatever,
Right. I love
So,
what you said. If I may add to that, there are a
yeah,
few what ifs.
please.
I mean, there are a few of these beliefs
Yeah.
catastrophizing. Oh
Yes.
man, I'm a failure. I messed up. Catastrophizing, catastrophizing, catastrophizing. Relax, calm down. I am calm. I am calm. I messed it up. I'm so stupid. I'm dumb. You know what? No, but they're really making a small little thing into this huge thing. Like you might have made a mistake, but now you've grown it to you're a fuck up. Whoa, where did that come from?
Right.
So black and white thinking, it's either one or this. There's only those two. It's either this or either that. Black and white thinking. I find that a lot on these channels. No, it's not that. It's not that. It's this, is that. And then of course, I only see what my worldview is. So I may be
Right.
locked into that view, but it doesn't mean it can't be another way. That doesn't mean it can't be a gray. In fact,
Right.
DBT teaches that it might be a little bit of both. You both could be right. You're a
Right.
slob. No, I'm not a slob. Well, you don't do blah, 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 blah. We both are guilty, right?
Yeah.
But we get into this thought process, this locked thinking distortions. Thinking
Right.
distortions is a distorted thought. It's not even based on reality. It's
Right.
based on this fantasy, this belief. It could be based on an experience, and your
Right.
experience is your reality. But what if your reality was based or molded with this thinking of, as you were saying, black or white, catastrophe thinking? Here's one:
Right.
predicting the future. Like I already know what they're going to say. I already know what they're going to say. I shouldn't even. Why even go? Why even do it? Why even do? I already know what's going to happen. I'll go to movies with people, and they're like, I knew it was going to end like that. Well, you could have saved $30, man. Why'd you? I knew. I mean,
Right.
I was going to talk to her, but see, I was all this future,
Right.
for
That's
fortune
usually,
telling
yeah, yeah. It's usually depends, but it's usually not. It's to keep us safe in a way. So
is intended to,
maybe
right?
fear of rejection, maybe, or that is me for sure, or just fear of like some level of discomfort.
Right.
Um, so Ara says, imagine catastrophizing abundance of all good things and blowing that way of our normal proportions of thinking. Hmm. Yeah. You know what was interesting though is when I was reading Learned Optimism was also how a level of pessimism is good too. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, depending on what it is.
Right.
Hey,
Right. Trey. Trey F, how you doing?
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing today?
Oh, doing well, doing well. Glad you came on
good.
up, man. We're all one family. Don't worry, we'll do this together, man. You, yeah, yeah, yeah. And what
Um,
situations do you have to bring to the table, to the
Yeah.
conversation?
First of all, thank y'all for bringing me up, Coach K. Well, how you doing today? And
I'm good.
brother, look,
Thank you.
I'm jealous because your head is shining better than mine today. So I'm a little jealous of you, So
It
there I
is
go.
really
It ain't
shiny.
put that shine on,
There it is. There it is.
but I
Wait,
always
pause.
tell
Is there a way that you get it shiny?
you it just comes with the first shave of the when you first shave it and
Yeah,
you get it clean.
Oh,
You don't need
okay.
no
yeah.
oil on it or anything. The natural oils will make it shine. So a
Oh,
bald head ain't it ain't a bald head unless it's shiny. Listen, I don't
I've
cut
Right.
it
never thought
unless
about
it's
it.
yeah.
Sorry,
Listen,
continue.
no. I'm glad that he embraces it. You know what I'm saying? So it's all
Yes.
good to me.
I will have
I mean,
choices. I could do the chia pet look.
nah, we don't need no George Jeffersons no more. Let him go on.
Right, right, right.
I mean, I mean, do me, give me the exact question that y'all
Yep.
posted. I read it, and I like to hear it so I can talk through it.
Yep. Was part question, part so I had some theatrics last week where we were talking about sometimes people wallow in misery, unnecessarily so. That's one
Mm,
thing. A lot of the YouTube streets, we hear stuff where people, I hear stuff, and I'm sure Coach K hears it too on certain channels where people are bringing up stuff that's in the news, and then they might even be laughing at it. So, a brother named Hassan was in New York. He was on YouTube for a while in the Bronx, snapping out because P Diddy paid out his ex girlfriend, paid her out for the allegation. He was saying, "I've been mentioning that I've been getting raped forever. No one's giving me a penny." But he's in New York City in the Bronx, yelling this out in the projects. Now, when people are watching this show, there are some people who do the replays and they're laughing. You either see them on the replay laughing like, look, he's a fool. Now, for the theatrics, yes. For a mental health breakdown, why are we calling people fools? How are we supporting people? So the overall question is, Are people really just acting a fool for the benefit? Like I push back when I hear a lot of people saying delusional and mental illness and mental delusional and crazy. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's not give people more credit than they really need because they're using it as a crutch. High anxiety, high anxiety, high anxiety. I have mental illness, mental illness. Oh, slow down, slow down. You have anxiety, period. If I put you in a room with some snakes, that pucker feeling you get, that's anxiety. If I put you in a room with some lions, that pucker feeling you get, that's anxiety. So to use that so loosely to the point now where there's psychologists out there who are afraid to practice because if you don't affirm a certain person that they feel so mentally ill that they need to change the whole world, then they lose their job, they lose their license. So that's been the conversation. But it wasn't enough conversation about, okay, doc, okay, coach, then how do people change? If you think it's mental illness or if you think it's fake or if you think of then what do we do? So that's today. But the part about the victimhood, I'm saying a lot of it is people are being their own victim. Part of what Coach K was just alluding to about this faulty thinking.
Okay. I think, a lot of this, I think back when I was a kid, one of the biggest punishments my parents could instill upon me was keeping me inside the house. Now staying inside the house is a norm. Summertime, once a kid was able to walk, he was walking. He was having some Chuck Taylors or some Converse and Cokeheads, and he was walking concrete. When you fell, you were able to dust it off, get back up. You didn't cry in front of your friends. You might have cried, when you got home, but until then, you walked around with the rock still in your arm, still trying to be tough. And I think that sort of helped, my generation as we grew up because we were able to decipher things amongst our peers our same age. Everybody was able to stay in their own group. It wasn't like today. You don't see 15 and 12-year-olds hanging out back in the day. It was 12 and 13 and 15 and 16. Everybody sort of stayed in their own lane. And we would sort of talk each other through the process in a sense. We would question like, man, why are you thinking like that? Why you want to do that? So it wasn't about, oh yeah, man, I know how you feel, man. Fuck the world. We're gonna do this. And we didn't want to instill a lot of that pain on ourselves. We understood. I didn't realize I was poor until I went to an all-white school with a big campus as a school. And everybody's house was $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. But in the community and all my friends who stayed in the projects, we lived as if we were rich. A lot of my friends, out of all my friends, I think about 2 of us had 2 parents in the home. They thought we were rich. No.
Hold on. Let me just jump in for a quick second. Sorry, because I want this to be conversational. And sometimes when we're ready to either offer something or push back, we have to wait for the person to finish. So let me just do a quick intro. We have Trey F here. We have OG J Speed here. And the Deseds are in the house. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Coach K and I would like to make this conversational, even though we might step over each other just because of the technology, like we'll accidentally step over each other. But I want us to be very conversational. All right. So I just want to throw that in there, Trey. And the first thing I want to be conversational about is that point you just made right there. That's one of the challenges I have. When we were growing up, we did X, Y, and Z. Why are these people now doing X, Y, and Z? That's because they grew up that way. So what makes our growing up any better? My family put us in this, we had to learn how to be tough. So clearly this new 19-year-old grew up not really knowing how to be tough. So when we make those type of comparisons, are we being disingenuous? Are we really comparing apples to apples? You were raised that way, but some people present as if they woke up that way. I had answers. I was smart. You went to school. We did this. How did you magically delicious become that way? So it's not meant as a pushback to you, but that's part of the conversation. No. Go ahead, sir.
No, I know that, but I don't want to be too long again. But was all a part of the growth process as an adolescent and as a teen. You were able to decipher things with your peers. And guess what? The thing that I always took pride in, even with my friends, compared to a generation that I always say this: feminism took the father out the home, crack took the mother out the home. We have a whole The strongest of our generation right now experienced that era. When they got home from school, they were home from school. They didn't have a cooked meal. They didn't have mama there. Mama was showing it. Mama was getting ready to go do her thing as soon as they got in. When I was coming up, mama went to the church. She went to the church picnic, the family reunion. That was her thing.
Okay.
And I know a lot of single mothers that raised guys 6'4", 6'5", wearing size 15 shoe. She never wavered from her expectation. She never wavered. She stayed true to the end.
Okay.
She gave them nuggets along the way. She ensured that a lot of times I used to go over the house and everybody sitting at the table like, man, I sit at the table.
Right.
She ensured some values that she had. She knew she couldn't do it by herself. And mama wasn't too prideful to say, let me go around the corner and get your daddy. Let me go get Big Earl over her. And it would change the whole dynamics of the house. And I think today, more people are inclined to worry about themselves and what they have to do and what they want to do instead of focusing on those primary years of a child. They need a parent to pretty much put their breath in their face every day.
Right.
The good, the bad. And today, kids are more visual, so you just got to show them how to do it. You can't talk to them about it. You just got to show them and let them know that you're not always going to be successful. That's the thing about life. You're going to fail too. But the thing about failing, it makes you stronger for the next time.
Right. Awesome. Let me pull something from that and then throw it at J Speed. Welcome, JT. Welcome to the House of What We Know podcast. Welcome. Welcome, the missus down in the corner there. We see her in the corner screen. Down in the corner screen, see the missus. JT, J Speed, here's what I want to pull from what Trey just offered. Grandma, or what back in the day, what we call Big Mama. You remember the Big Mamas, I'm wondering if Grandma or Big Mama or whoever this person was, they was what we would call today support. See, Grandma will open her house, but today, do we have housing? Grandma will offer her wisdom. Do we have places where you can go get education? Grandma will let you use her car or whatever to help you get the resources. Do we have things where people feel incentivized to go do these things? What do you think about that?
Well, I think you made a great point before Trey started. And this is one of the hardest lessons I had to find out, especially coming into the YouTube, is I would always go back to, well, when I was this, when I was that, and when I was this. And one of the hardest lessons of finding out that I had to sit down and think about it. It was one of my brothers. We don't even speak anymore because he got so upset with me because I guess I didn't learn the lesson fast enough. I wonder how the people think before the industrial time started. The people who had to actually go out there and pick crops with their hands versus the people who had machinery to pick up. I guarantee you that two different generations would be totally different. And this is what we miss out in these conversations. I believe we miss out in these conversations. People are born into the now, right? You can't tell them about a rotary phone when they had an Android and an Apple phone in their hand. It was just too much disconnect. I think with people where they at now. And that's one of the biggest problems. I think this connection between the generations have before them. See, most of the people who are 20 years old have seen a black president and a white, a black president man and a black president woman. We don't want to miss that.
Your mic is a little low. Sorry, I don't want to miss your
volume.
Point.
Okay, cut it down.
And JT, just so you know, we want this to be conversational. We might end up stepping over each other while we're talking, but instead of waiting for people to do long speeches, jump in at any time with the conversation. But I want us all to be open to that. All right.
Is that better now?
Nope.
No, it's not.
Well,
I mean, we can hear you, but it's faint. And while you're getting that sound together,
like God.
That is a Jesus mic.
Oh, really? All right. While you're getting that mic together, I want to ask you this question. What was the comparison in the phones? What was the conversation about the phones? When people are telling them about the rotary phone, what's the point that is that person making?
Point is, speaking on old technologies is good for a history lesson, but it don't apply to the people who are living in the now.
Right, but what will
Right.
be that conversation about the technology? Like, give me an example.
Let me give you an example. Like I would say, back in the day, I didn't have call waiting.
Right,
I didn't have call waiting. I didn't have three-way calling. Y'all
right. Now
have
I
it.
have it, and so what would
Y'all
you be
have
telling
two.
me about what you didn't
Right,
have?
y'all
What are you
have
telling
two-way
me?
calling, and we didn't take a device around us. When police need to get in touch with us for emergency, they know how to knock on our door. When our kids went to school, the principals know how to get in touch with the parents. So
Maybe
Right,
lack of
now,
community, maybe.
right. So now that we have these technologies now, and people are the younger generation is so focused in on it, but that's their life. It's not
right,
your life. And
right,
so you are right when you will say that the grandmama's den is what we call therapy now. Because there
right,
used to be a time when we can go to the churches and we can go to grandmama, we can go to uncle. But now we living in. There's a reason why we call this thing selfish. People are doing because we have made people individual. We separated everybody. When we separated the family, we separated everybody. The mom, the
yep,
dad, the children. They sit down and come into a restaurant. You see it all the time. They're sitting down there. Each one of them is looking at their phone. They're not even
right,
having conversation. But we have to
right,
deal with
Mm.
the now. That's what
right.
I'm
So,
saying.
yep. So that person who knows, who's actually shaking their head, y'all on them phones.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they so passive about y'all on those phones?
Um,
When did they lose the option of saying, "Go ahead, coach"?
Sorry, real quick. J Speed, the audience is saying they can't really hear you either. Um,
Okay.
Is it
Sorry, I
low?
So
laughed because it's still really low. BMU said that Dollar General doesn't have better mics.
Dollar General, yeah. All right, but
I'm
hold
sorry,
on,
that made
yeah,
me laugh.
Tell me
yeah,
how we look.
cool. But before we get into that,
Testing
how
one, two,
come
three.
the parents have lost their voice? How
Low.
come? I mean, I know you always have the phone, always have the phone, always have the phone. Who purchased them the phone? Who said, I know you're only 6 years old, but you must have the latest iPhone? And then turn around and complain, y'all on them damn phones.
Interesting. Or that, I hear a lot of like parents who are like, want their kids to have a phone so they can get hold of them. They
Right.
want all
And
this
who's
stuff.
that for? Or the kid might get not great the M word. The kid might get M word. What
Mm.
person you know has ever said, "Hold on, please don't touch me. Hold on for a second, Mama"? It don't work like that. In fact, some parents don't even find out for years. Why didn't you tell me? Cause I knew you would act like this. What? They did what? We have BMUs in the place who will theatrics. I'm gonna give one trigger warning throughout the show. Welcome. Oh, tell this mother. Did you? I'm cool, baby. Who did? T- Go ahead, tell me.
Who's
No,
talking about
Papa.
my mic?
Oh,
Oh,
now you
There
sound
he
better.
is.
No,
There
who
he is.
talking about my mic? I
But
ain't want
hold
to pull out
on.
the Jesus mic
Before
on
we go
y'all
there though,
show.
because like I said, I just want to do straight. I just want to have this. So there are people who will respond in a way. So guess what? I didn't tell you. So the parent who's saying my kid might get touched, they need to have a phone at all times. That's about that parent, not about the kid. That's that parent's insecurity. That's that parent's need for control. That's that parent's need to worry, and no kid is. I'm not saying no kid would never, ever, ever. We're not talking about getting grabbed and thrown in the trunk of a car and you got to make a call. The excuses that they make is because they want that convenience. Speaking of
I wouldn't
parenting stuff,
disagree with that.
let's turn
I
it over
wouldn't
to the.
disagree with that.
All right.
What I would add to it is there's no home base. Everything that I heard so far is kind of equivalent to a home base. There was a home base back in our day, whether it was a landline, whether it was, Big Mama, but there was some concrete measures in place, and now it's very fly by night. It's very cell phone-ish. There's no structure because there's no foundation because nobody's standing still for a second to just chill.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's
Mm-hmm.
moving around, everything's mobile, everything's cellular. So society has become just like that. And even more indicative, there's no cran apple juices, no houses that you can go and get cran apple juice from anymore,
Right.
none.
Right.
There
Right.
used to be one or two Huxtable houses on our block. Even if it wasn't our house, we can go to a house where there was some direction, there was some curation, there was some discipline, and we could fall in line there. And we kind of liked it. I like the houses where there was structure. I'm like, I was over there helping them fold clothes, and so we can go to church together and play basketball at the church. Like it was a whole schematic put in place. And nowadays, these kids, they don't have that foundation. They don't
Right.
have Big Mama. They don't have cran apple juice houses. They don't have Huxtables to say, shame on you. You shouldn't be doing like that. And if you continue to act like that, you can't continue to come over here.
Right.
But there is no over here no more. Everybody like, well, shit, your house is dirty. You hardly cook. You're cantankerous. Your kids don't read on level. So there is no houses that put fear in any of the children anymore for any type of positive reinforcement. So,
Right.
that's
so
where
do we end
play
up with
power
two
play.
victims? Do we end up with
All
two
different.
victims? Because you
It's
have the
always
parent
two
who's right. We have the parent who says, "What can I do?" They on the teachers, the schools, the principals, the social workers. They tie my hands. What can I do? So I'm a victim in the situation. And then the kid who's like, "Man, well, you don't. We can't even go to your house. So we're a victim in the situation." So I just want to highlight, like, that one situation, we end up having two victims in the situation.
And isn't it always
Why should it be any victim?
That's our point. Like,
Why should it be? Maybe it's not a victim. I think this is what I'm talking about. There's a different times when different things come along and technology, people in general have to reset. As you know, and I know, the world is smaller now. The economy, what people know in Africa or any other what we call third nation or third world nation, that they get the news the same time we do. They get the technology the same time we do. So I think what happens with older people who have lived and have a history, how they got to where they are, having a hard time understanding where people are in the now. They are resetting. Everything is resetting. Do you know right now that most of the things is being ordered over the internet? You get 24 hours, or even you can get it in 12 hours. So I think it's us looking at us and trying to oversight what they're going through, because it's so different from what we're going through. We see it as a problem, but we don't understand what reset is.
Right. Let me throw this to JT. So JT, going off what J Speed just said, well, I talk about two victims. Coach and I are saying, yeah, wow, that does sound like there's some victims in the situation. The kid or the young adult who's telling their parent, dude, you're going to get left behind. You can use that rotary push button stuff if you want to. You're going to get left behind. Ouch. That's a reality. Then there's the one who feels like they're going to get left behind, but they live in the now. They reset to live in the now. And that's when you have that 50-year-old talking about, oh, shit, hey, yeah, woo. And they're at the party, you're like, what the fuck is 50-year-old doing this shit? Because they are now living in the now. They feel like this is cool. This is my friend. Hey, shake that little. See, remember the days when you watch your kid do the Michael, all that type of stuff? And now you're watching them. Now you're watching them. Oh, there you go. Do it. And that's my reset.
Sicky now.
Yeah. JT, what do you think about that reset?
You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Yes, sir.
We can. Yeah.
Right. So when we're talking about technology, we're just talking about technology from a consumer standpoint. Technology is everything. It's to make your life better, right? And it comes from what? Human beings. It comes from our ideals. It starts with an ideal, and then it is what it is once you start manufacturing or whatever. I mean, at one point, a tape deck was the cutting edge of technology. A car, just a bike, all of these different things. So when we look at it from a consumer standpoint, we're just looking at it for convenience. That's what technology is basically based off of, convenience, how you can do something easier than what you've been doing it for. Once you start having generational things, it's funny where we have our children, and I talked about this with my mom. They say, well, the kids, they know how to use cell phones way better than we do. No, they don't. It's the generation before them that created it. And it took years to perfect it, right? That's what it is. We're talking about things from a consumer standpoint. So even when you're talking about children, you got to get them that new cell phone and things like that. It goes to what you was just saying. It's not about the child. It's about the parent. The parent is not too much older than the child. So that parent may still be the child. They just
Hold on. Would you say that again for the people in the back?
Yes, the parent may still be the child. That parent still is like, well, for instance, I remember when cell phones were not popular. I remember when pay phones were way more popular than home phones because people had beepers, right? So you had everybody that brought the sales or for pay phones way up. It wasn't just for adults. It was for everybody pretty much. Yes, for a business, a lot of dope dealers were using it, but a lot of other people were using it also.
Right.
God. Oh, you keep going.
So when you look at this thing called technology, pagers are still out. Doctors still use pagers. A lot of physicians I know, a lot of physical therapists, they still use pagers. In the hospital, that's where, and I work in a hospital, people are still using pagers now, right? So when we're talking about what parents put onto their children, that's basically what it is. We're putting it onto our children. I remember my daughter, she didn't know anything about fast food until we came back to America. She didn't get her first taste of McDonald's until she was 4 years old. I have a nephew that pretty much never ate candy, ever. Don't like it right now, and he's 16 years old. He's never drunk Kool-Aid before. He's never eaten, a lot of things with junk in it. His primary source of liquid is water.
But how did he get, because wouldn't every kid want some Kool-Aid or grape drink?
No, not the parents. Every parent want their kids to have cookies and candy and all of that. He's never tasted candy, like hard candy, ever. He's 16 now. All he drinks is water, and that's because his parents, they did not expose him to that.
Well, this goes back to last week. Remember, Dr. Tacumbi, where that broken promise, or that promise, my kids will never have to fill in the blank. So if, let's say, for example, and it's funny because I am experiencing this with my niece. I don't have kids yet, but we were not very well off. So of course I can't, my niece has pretty much everything. She's a great kid though, but I can't blame her because I would probably want to do the same thing because I didn't get whatever I wanted. So then it's like, someone could say, look at these kids. She has everything she wants, whatever. And it's like, yeah, but where does that come from? And kind of understanding that the thinking behind it, I guess.
Can I try to make my point what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Because I think it goes along with what this show is about. And I'm not saying that anybody else said anything different, but what I'm saying is we speaking on it technology, but then we got to speak on why was this technology made and what is the function of this technology. Now, me knowing communication changes everything. How you communicate changes everything. And this is why I keep setting on this reset. Because when we understand why this technology was made, it changed the behavior of human beings. Just the way it was designed to change how we communicate with each other. And so what I'm saying is, we can talk about the technology, we can talk about the car, we can talk about all that we want to. But what has this technology come in and change our behavior? And that behavior is changed because that's the way it was designed. It was no accident. And so This is where this planet is resetting, how it get information, how it process information, how do we respond to each other, all of that. One of my friends who was really into all of this, he said, it's okay when you're watching what we're watching right now, right? Say I was just watching, I wasn't on a panel. He said, but you're a different person once you go into that machine and still watch yourself from the outside, but you inside the machine. You have become part of that machine. So what I'm saying is that all that we're talking about is human resetting around technology, how they communicate. And communication is one of the most important things on this planet.
Right. What do you think, Trey?
Just wanted to ask him about when he say the word reset. I'm taking what you're saying a little different. I'm looking at it as this is just the world continuing to evolve and advance within its own self. That's the way technology is being driven to us as the regular citizen, because technology allows us a little bit more comfortable life just based on some of its existence. Just within the cell phone use, you used to have to wait till you got home after 10 hours to get that call and get an answer machine, hope if you had one. Now you can catch it on the fly, and I can, instead of waiting home and getting the word that I gotta get some eggs, I can get the call lunchtime, hey, get some eggs, and I come home, creating a little easier path. The only problem I got, I'm sorry.
But what about two things happening at the same time? And that's why I use the word reset. When you are in the matrix, you have to reset how your environment. But this places that this telephone and beepers and none of this cars, none of that even affect anything. And their behavior has been the same for thousands and thousands of years. So you can say evolve, but you're talking about evolving in a certain sector of the world. And that's why I use the word reset, because the reset here is different from a reset somewhere else. Right. So what I'm saying is I understand the word evolve, but as far as us, a leading nation into technology, we are in that matrix. We are part of that matrix.
Right.
So it has no effect on some other parts of the world.
Right. So here's what I think here's the clinical reset. Here's the reason for a clinical reset. Dopamine, the chemical that really gets us excited.
Feel good.
Our brain, if we were only getting 3 cups of dopamine, we operate on that and we kind of get 3 cups and go back down, 3 cups and go back down, 3 cups and back down. Once we increase the speed or the amount to 5 cups, I now operate what's called impulsively to maintain the 5 cups. One of the things that we didn't do as we were moving so quickly in the world, we haven't been training people how to deal with the impulsivity. You used to wait for what our pain would call a nice, fresh piece of pussy. We used to wait for that, but now we must get it on the first night.
The toughest things any man has ever done is turn down a nice piece of willing, steaming ass piece of pussy.
And see, it used to be a time that you waited for that steam. You would even actually go to get it checked out to see if it had steam on it. And now because we get home quicker, we can get the eggs and pick it up, but we didn't learn how to manage that. And then the brain, when it's no longer receiving that dopamine 5, well, now all of a sudden we're in the victimhood because we can't operate if we don't have the fasting. If the iPhone 20 doesn't come out by next month, what am I going to do? If I don't, but the other side of the world says, shit, we got this. First of all, we got this iNews knockoff. It's not even a true iPhone, but it looked like an iPhone. We cool.
Oh, it's a Samsung? Just kidding.
Well, this one I'm talking about, they have the iNews. We just put the C in front. This one's a Samsung, but you put a C in front of the iNews. They got the knockoff, and they're cool with that. In fact, it's a true story. I said we weren't going to do stories. Let me just give a 30-second one. When I was in the Philippines doing a food give-off, food feeding, I had a phone raffle. And in the Philippines, you have to prepay your phone. There's no phone plans. You prepay. And they call it a load. You buy the thing and you load your phone. I brought 100 loads. And as part of the giveaway for families coming in, they get the little gift bag with a load. And at the end of it, not a single load was cashed in. I'm like, why did they? And that lady looked at me like, that's what that was. I said, yeah, well, they cashed it in for a load. She said, you said you wanted poor people. Yeah, that's why I got them the loads. You said you wanted poor people. Them people don't have no phones.
Yeah, like poor
Yeah.
people.
Let me
Yeah.
ask you a question, Doc. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Hey, Doc, I want to ask you a question. And it's strictly stand on what you talk about the dopamines. Have you ever been around a person who was coming down on crystal?
Yes.
Okay. So, we got to say how this play into the drug of choice, how this plays into the drugs that over 55% of the American people are on some kind of pharmaceutical. And believe me, I get about $30,000 worth of medication at my house about every 2 months. And
and then you flip it?
No, I hope not. But
okay,
anyway,
okay.
they flip
Okay.
it. No. I hope they flip it.
Yeah.
They get it in strips like this.
Yeah,
for
the bubble
patients.
packs.
And so what I'm saying is we have to tie all this in to the steps. Because a lot of these things that we are seeing and we are watching, it comes from all different layers.
Right.
And so when you tie all in together, a lot of kids are being put on certain behavior drugs by the time, they're 7 years old.
Right.
And then when they get 12 and 13, they get the drug of their choice. They go out and get the drug of their choice. And
Okay,
so
OG.
if they're taking these crystals, right, then the high is one way, the come down is worse than the high. That's when the dopamine shoot up
Right.
like 1,000.
Right.
And
Right.
so
Mr. Heath
go ahead.
Here we go. CSI. What percentage would you put on, like you say, the children that are affected by these quote unquote pharmaceuticals? What percentage of children would you say that is in America?
I think I'm gonna be very careful how I label this. Okay, I think children coming straight out of the hospital just from being born and have had more shots than I have had all my life.
So what percentage?
That's all.
So 100% of the children.
Yes, and it affects them differently.
Oh, you mean what do you mean? You mean the shots for the medicine?
I'm talking about. What I there's certain ways I can't say it.
Oh God. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? There's certain ways I can, but you can get what I'm saying.
I do.
They're loaded. By the time that child come home, that child is loaded.
Okay.
And I hear what you're saying. I respect it. I just think if I had to put a percentage on it, I would say maybe 30% pharmaceutically based. I think the rest are just lazy. And I'm not going to be very long-winded. I got a video. You OG, you alluded to the technology and you talked about how you could get a package. Sounds like you've acclimated pretty good. My mother-in-law is sitting right across from me. She's swiping on her tablet. She just picked up an Amazon package a little earlier today. She's a baby boomer as well. So you guys have acclimated. I think these kids are just lazy. And if moderation want to pull up this video that I got in the back, it's 2 kids trying to use a rotary phone. And they don't know how to use it, OG. They have no respect for what happened before them. All they care about is what's going on now. And that's what's disrespectful because we know about the things that happened before us. You could tell us about so many things that went on in the 50s and the 40s and even while you were coming up in the 60s. And I can tell you about Sam Cooke, and I'm only 47 years old, but I love my ancestors. I love the people that came before me, and that made me want to do the knowledge. These kids don't want to do knowledge for anything. And this video that I have in the back is a
just before we see the video.
I seen that video, and
right, hold on, before we do the video, JT, what's the definition of respect to you?
The definition of respect is someone to.
All right, next, Trey, what's the definition of respect? And I know you're gonna ask, what's the definition of respect? Yeah, what's the definition of respect?
No. You ain't gonna cut me off, are you? Because JT.
Well, I am because I mean that might be the answer. Like that is the answer. Well, it's that's the answer.
I mean, just just getting the admiration. If I look at it outside myself and somebody respecting me, I look at it as that they have admiration for me and what I stand for, what I believe in, what I say, words of encouragement,
admiration,
words of discipline, things like that. Yeah.
All right, J Speed, definition of respect.
It's so vague and so personal. There's really no definition. It's just like love. It's to the individual.
So here's what I'm throwing back to you, Mr. He said. If the kids don't respect, how do we know that's not their version of respect? I just asked 4 people.
Knowledge. Respect is knowledge.
Your definition of respect is knowledge. Your definition. But we have 3 other adults that answer the same question. Everything from to a. So how do we know we're not actually respecting each other, but our version of it?
Again, you have knowledge. If you have a moral compass, if you have knowledge of what a moral compass is, if you have knowledge of what compassion, of what integrity, of what value, and just being cordial, if you have knowledge of any of these things, then you're showing respect. When I have knowledge for the human rights struggle, I'm showing respect. When I have knowledge of Sam Cooke and of Sojourner Truth and of Nat Turner, I'm showing them respect, knowing that they existed. Now, how I move with that knowledge, that's individually based, but knowledge is universal. It's not to be debated. And I just think that's just Stockholm 2023 syndrome talk that they talking right now.
Right. My only challenge, and anyone can jump in, it doesn't mean that I'm being disrespectful because I don't have that knowledge or show interest in that knowledge. Give you an example on my webpage, and I'm not throwing names, but this is a reality I have to face. I have a shout out, a testimony from Dr. C. Everett Koop. Now, for me, that was the next best thing since sliced bread in 1988, 1990, when I won the Youth Educator of the Year through Dr. C. Everett Koop, the old white man with the big beard and put on the side of cigarette smoking is bad for your health. And when I was working with my web design, I said, "Oh, you got to put that's Dr. C. Everett Koop." She said, "Who's that?" And I said, "Oh, well, and she said, "Oh, I looked him up. He's been dead for 10 years. He's been dead for 10 years and nobody going to know him. You sure you want to put him up there?" So someone seeing that might not show me the level of respect that I hope because of who the hell is who are you talking about? Who are you talking about? So is that disrespect or no interest because it doesn't qualify for who I am today?
I mean, but did that lessen the credentials of the award that you received? That's a question for you. Did it make your credentials lessen that person didn't know?
No, it did not.
It did not. Again, it only speaks to the level of knowledge that person has. So maybe check your source might be my answer now. If someone is lacking of the warranted kudos or the warranted admiration, adoration, pushback, or anything else, again, I can't take that as a reflection on me. That's a you thing. If you don't have the understanding that Dr. Cooper is an esteemed medical professional and he recognized me for a certain award, all we can do is continue to move on from there. But it doesn't change the fact that he's still a esteemed medical professional and you won the award, and the award carries some prestigious weight.
Right. Let me spin that. See if you gentlemen and ladies can join the vibe. Here's what I took from what you just said, Mr. He said. When I think about laziness and respect, I'm like, I don't see how those two qualify. Did you catch the second part of what Mr. He said? You may not know Dr. Koop, and did it reduce who I am? No. Did it reduce my credentials? No. But here, when we're on a YouTube channel and somebody's like, "Who? I don't give a fuck about." Hey man, that's some old school shit. Miss me with the bullshit. Why dismiss it? Because are you willing to put in this research for it don't have to be Dr. Koop, but you're not even willing to, what about Dr. Ooh or Dr. or so-and-so? What about fuck them? So it becomes fuck it. I'm not interested. JT,
I get what you're saying, and I get exactly what Mr. He said had put out there, the knowledge now. That's why it was kind of dope when you did it. That's why I wasn't trying to fight it, because I would have found the definition by the definition, but I wanted to be actually authentic with this.
Right.
Yeah.
Just wanted to see where this conversation was going to go. But the knowledge of it is this. That's what I was just about to say. Normally, especially in these YouTube, when on these YouTube panels, you would have a panel of 10, right? And you would say something like that, just like when you did say it the first time that you had talked to me about it, about who that person was. And I looked him up while you were saying, and I'm trying to get the spelling and everything. And I looked it up. Okay, and it said Surgeon General. I was like, oh, and then when you was expounding on it, I was like, wow. And I was intrigued. But before then, I didn't know, right? But it goes, Mr. He said, is to have the knowledge. So the second part of it is to seek the knowledge, right? Then it goes to what you were just saying, that some people be like, they don't even want to know. So that to me is a part of what they call ignorance, to ignore, right? To ignore something, and you want to stay in the not knowing.
Right. And that's by choice. That part is by choice. That's not a learning handicap. That is by choice.
By choice.
And then, and then I give pushback because you want me to be better. You want me to be better and tell me, but remember back in the day, I don't know how to spell a word, and I ask you, tell me to get a dictionary.
Yes.
Right. So now you tell someone get a dictionary. Oh, see, you on some bullshit. You just tell me how to spell the word. You do the work. Now, Trey and Jay Speed, here's where I'm going to flip what they just said to what you were talking about. What is the reset? Because we moved the goalpost a little bit. What is that reset? So because now I'm lazy, or now I get the text that say on your way home. But how many dudes have gotten 10 texts 10 days in a row and still didn't bring that goddamn milk home? And then the wife is like, damn, like, oh, I thought I told you. And so you know what? Now I get the text and I ignore it. Now I make sure I don't read the text, so you can't even hold me to something. Now I get overwhelmed. Now I get fearful of like disappointing, not measuring up, not feeling heard, not feeling acknowledged, and feeling pressure. Why I got to look it up? Why can't you just tell me? Why can't you just tell me? We have shrunk it down to a 10-second video clip. A 10-second. We claim that we get all of our information now out of a 10-second clip on TikTok and and that's our education. Anything further than that, we don't have the time. But see, that's that rapid new technology. Awesome. We need technology. But that's what I think. If you can tell me, JSP, if I'm wrong, that's the reset. We done lost the thirst to learn more. We advance the technology, but the brain and the behavior hasn't advanced with it.
Well, this is why they call it the smartphone. Anytime somebody give you something and tell you it's smart, it's telling you gonna be dominant in it. So it spells itself out as soon as they give it to you. And so you got the smart TV now. You got the smart refrigerator now. You got the smart car now. You got everything smart. They're telling you gonna have to be more dumber because it's taking over. Car made people. I mean, just the increase of automobile increased people weight about 5 to 10 pounds because people no longer wanted to walk. They go to the store.
Subway, you had to walk the subway, the bus, the train. Come to Minnesota.
So they got a store a block away and they won't even walk and bring one bag back. They'll jump in the car, come out. And so this is what I'm talking about. And I don't want to get away from that respect thing. And the reason why I didn't want to touch it, because my definition of respect is not going to be like a lot of other people's definition, and that's why I say it's vague. Because when I was coming up, just because a person was old, you're supposed to respect them without knowing them or knowing any knowledge about them or anything. So just their age. So I guess that would be the door.
Because across you mentioned sometimes across the world, right?
Right.
You know across the world, you lower your gaze. That is a form of respect. Here in the States, you make eye contact.
Right.
So again, the version
and
of
that's
respect,
why that's what I was going to bring into it. Suppose you had somebody come in the country. That was going to be my answer to that respect level thing. Suppose you had somebody come to the country who has a whole nother way they live
Right.
And they come here and they say like, damn, nobody in the United States have any respect. I remember when there was Japanese used to bow all the time.
Right.
Go in the Japanese community now and see how many bow. They're not doing it. So what I'm trying to say is it's so vague, like love, everybody has their own definition for it, and there's no false and truth. If it's personal towards you, that is the definition of it. So you're correct when you
So
say
one challenge. I'm sorry, go ahead.
you're correct when you say that when you look at the reset is the way we communicate. And I'm telling you, I looked at the film by Forrest Whitaker, and the whole movie was based on how humans communicate with each other. And the language they communicate in is how they are. And I was talking to somebody this morning about that. I don't know how this show became this, and I was saying, ever before you ever learn how to speak, you learn how to communicate when you first come out of the woman's womb. That's that sound. We don't understand it because we have been trained to do other things inside of this world that we live in on a massive, this is the way we communicate and this is the way we write and all of that. But what about animals? They never go to the school, institution, or anything. They communicate with each other all the time. And we don't know what they're saying. They never went to one and so that shows you who controls the way you communicate controls your behavior.
Right. So I'm gonna throw it to Trey, and then let's. If we had that video right after Trey goes, if whoever's running in the back, and you can show the video Mr. Heath said was talking about. I'm gonna throw to Trey. So here's one of the challenges that, of course, the like thinkers of J Speed who say, "Hey, yay for you that you were able to do things by hand. Yay for you that you climbed a tree. Yay for you. We live in the world that you're gonna get left behind, and we don't go by that anymore." And the technology actually helps me. The technology is like an additional brain. Like this saves some space on my brain. This holds 250 gigabytes, and this is like an additional brain. And so, isn't it better to have two brains? And this one is fast too, and it's smarter than I am. We don't get to the part if the battery's dead. We don't get to the part of, oh, holy shit, I used to know numbers by heart. Now I got to put it in here. We didn't get to that part, but now I can look something up and know stuff across the world. So OG might be right in his thinking, but it's old school thinking. What do you think about that?
This is a learning experience right there. All right, back up on that last comment. This is a learning experience. Back up on it. Stay right there.
Yeah.
There's a difference between he made no sense and you didn't understand. Now you got to figure that one out.
Okay. So
I think this is a great opportunity, and I'll pass it to you, Dr. Nakombi, for the questions that we have to kind of challenge, some of these statements. But go ahead, Dr. Nakombi.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
So I like it because again, that's my point behind. Trey is saying, wait a second, out of touch. I agree with you, OG. Perspective taken. Is it that I don't understand or totally understand? But the idea, the core of it is, what if I actually feel, and I'm not speaking for Trey, but what if I'm in Trey's shoes or anyone in that generation or anyone, I won't even say generation, anyone who's about current society could actually feel disrespected, and that you or I or anyone else is being disingenuous because you don't respect the value of this or the use of it or whatever, or that we should stay in a certain time zone. So just hold that thought. Is the video ready?
I can do it if nobody. I can do it if you guys don't want. I can do it. I'll put it up there.
You have 4 minutes.
Cool. Thank you.
To dial that phone number.
That's it?
That's it. With that phone.
Wait, so you have to push it, right?
Kyle, move your butt over. I don't want your butt in the
My
video.
fingers don't.
There you go.
Look. It's all the way from here. Yeah. 7. Oh no, zero's all the way over. How do I restart? Okay, right. Alright. 7. Then just fiddle it a little bit. Maybe. 8. That was 7. 7.
Another 0.
Wait, do you go all the way around back here? Wait,
Dude, that makes sense.
wait. Ah, yeah, we got it. Alright. All the way around. Like go. 8. 7. Another 0, all the way around. 3. Oh, baby. 8. 5. 0. All the way around.
Okay, so I'll give you a hint. Your 0 is correct. Every other way you're doing it is incorrect. Is that correct in saying that?
Yeah. So you don't stop at this. Oh, does the last one? Because look.
You just successfully dialed 0.
No. Stop. Okay. So.
Wait. So when we go like this, they said that was right.
Kyle, move to your right a little bit, please.
I don't like that.
So
It's all right.
So if this was 0, then
Wait.
does the second
Look,
one
watch out.
zero? Does the second
Is
one
this correct?
0?
Bring it all the way around and then like, bruh.
Wait, look, that's 0, so that's one ahead. What if you went just?
You guys have made this all worth it.
Everyone has struggled like you guys.
Yeah, everybody
Yes.
has.
I think of different.
Wait a minute.
Think of different.
Do we have to pick up the phone and then do it?
Put the phone to your ear. What do you hear? What does that sound like? Okay, that's a start.
Alright, watch out.
Incorrect. Correct for a 0.
What does the 0 sound like? What does the 0 sound like?
It just goes and ends it. Okay.
You have 1 minute left.
So, if the 0 is correct, what are you doing with the 0?
You guys are doing great because you're talking through it and you're working through it.
Yeah, we're
We
also
went all
came
the-
last
we-
place, so.
We went all the way over here. I think we have to go all the way around. All the way around. Stop there.
What's with all the holes, though?
It's a great
Oh.
question. It is. Kyle?
We are so dumb.
No, you're not. You
Nope, Kyle
nailed
just
it.
figured it out. 25 seconds.
Tell me the numbers.
708, 703. Where are you at right now?
7,
Oh.
0.
8500.
Hurry up.
8500. 8500.
10.
We're done.
Oh, you did it?
Yeah, no, I didn't. It just. There's 5 seconds to do it.
0.
You would have done it.
Can I say something really quick after that video? I am a millennial, and I will say that I never learned how to use a rotary phone, never had to write a check. But so does that mean that I'm disrespectful?
Not at all, Coach. But
It
let
does
me
look
ask
fun
you
though.
a couple
Like
of
Ara
questions.
said, that does look fun.
Did you ever ask Mom and Dad, Mom, Dad, how did you guys make calls before these phones? How was it always these push button phones? Like that's what I was just saying to my mother-in-law sitting right here is that, it's disrespectful on so many levels because they don't require knowledge. It seems like they haven't had any inquisitive conversations with their parents, just fly
Mm.
by nights. Mom, Dad, how did you guys do it back then?
Like
Was it always
curiosity.
color in the TV? Just little conversations you're supposed to have with your kids on the come up. And again, like Doc said, we have these brains in our hands now. So why are they always asking for examples? We need more examples. No one showed us. You have a whole brain, encyclopedia, computer with RAM right in your hand, but you quick to say what you don't know instead of asking this very smart thing that you have inside of your hand. And it's just the lack of resourcefulness, the lack of ingenuity. They didn't even understand that it's a chronological process. It doesn't work like how things work now. It was 30 years ago, young person. So you got to pick the phone up first. You got to dial the number. And all of these things come with steps. But when you come from a world of planned obsolescence and there is no steps, just do what you want. You could do two things at once. And again, it just gives them the lack of respect for the past. I understand things have changed and have progressed, but it wasn't always like this. So that's why
Okay.
now kids that don't understand that there was black and white TVs, but the world wasn't black and white. They think the
Right.
world was actually black and white, like it was on the TVs back in the
Like,
60s. And
The
it's
Wizard
just
of Oz was like the biggest
the
thing,
lack
right?
of knowledge is what I'm speaking to, and
Right.
even wanting to get it, the
Mm.
understanding. But I
All right.
Yeah,
digress.
So
but the world is
welcome to
bigger
the
than
show,
just
Trey. And just
Hey,
before we do
Trey.
that, I want to highlight one. I just want to highlight one thing. Take a screenshot of this, and then I'll put it to the side when we're ready to get into it. If you don't mind, are you able to leave my mic open and play that video one more time? I just want to give a clinical perspective on how the world is right now, and then Trey, welcome, and then let you cook on it.
Okay, Black man, put the video back up, bro.
And we can use even half, like the second half, like start it from the middle. I just want to
I
name a
think
few things about how the world is now. Yeah,
I think he gave you the reins, JT.
JT. Yeah.
Okay, yep, I got it.
Okay. Sorry, I would if I could, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to do it.
Hey Doc, while y'all pulling that up, how many people on this panel would know how to drive a manual column?
Stick shift.
Yeah.
Column.
On what's the name? But how
I
many
don't
people
think my husband does.
but you know what I'm saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
How many people know how to would be able to know how to start a Ford first vehicle?
No, I get what you're saying. The typical person, but they have to
No.
have knowledge that
I'm just
it's
showing you
accurate.
how how many people on this panel know how to ride a horse?
Right. Oh.
So I'm just saying.
What you mean, the 4-leg cow or like a?
This four-legged horse, yeah. Because that was transportation in this country at one time. So what I'm trying to say is we can go on with this forever if we want to.
Yep. Right, but I want to highlight
But
how we
what
got to
point
where
would
we
it
are with
serve?
this video.
Wait. What point would it serve as far as respect?
Right, I'm gonna show you that. I'm gonna give you the answer right here about respect, and then I'll turn it over whenever you're ready, JT.
You have 4 minutes to dial that phone number.
Okay, you have 4 minutes.
0.
And much like if we reversed it, if I gave you an iPhone and said you have 4 minutes to work it,
Every other way you're doing it is
would you be able to do it? So just think about that. Now that laughter you hear in the background, based on my perception, right now is easy. I don't mind the laughter. In fact, we even laugh with you. But that laughter is already the first sign of disrespect to me as the youth. That laughter is disrespectful, but we're in the beginning of it, so you're just laughing as we're figuring it out. Now look at the valid effort that I'm putting into this. When I hear someone now say they don't care, they don't try, look, this is the try. This is the try. I question if we're actually validating their thinking. Are we validating their efforts? Are we acknowledging that their thought is even plausible? Are we acknowledging that their thought is even plausible? So right now we have people in the background. One is laughing. Remember the video I showed with the guy being bitten by the dog, and it was his friend's dog, and the person's in the background laughing when he's feeling some kind of way. These guys are trying to figure this out.
Wait a minute.
Now, two people trying two different ways. They're looking back for direction. When we look back for direction in today's world, that was your cue to tell me what to do. Because right now I feel like an idiot. And if you feel like I'm so stupid, so dumb and all that, why didn't you just tell me? Yeah, I have this modern phone, but clearly the design is totally different. Now, when you get towards the end of this video, and here's my last little piece where I want us to consider about how the world got to where it's at. Each generation, this particular phone test gets shorter and shorter and shorter. Our level of tolerance, our level of feeling disrespected, our level of feeling played has gotten shorter and shorter. No way in the world we'd have tried this many times to try and figure it out before that guy walked away. And what did he do when he walked away? Yeah, we only have 30 seconds. I'm done. I'm done. Y'all not going to be finished playing me. I'm done. And that's how we got to the world that we're in now. But yet both sides are calling it disrespect. So they're trying, and then watch this lady's going to start laughing again.
Tell me the numbers.
And
708.
even though it might be family, I'm assuming it's family, whatever, and they're trying to help them, that laughter in one ear, and we've gotten real sensitive. Because back in the day, you can laugh at someone, even talk crazy. Look, I'm done. And I don't know what year this was done, but that's even that fuse is even shorter now. That length before I walk away is even shorter now. We got sensitive. Everything must be soft and cushiony. You know, there would have been some parents who be like, "Man, you get back over there. Quit acting like work the motherfucker." But now, if you say that, ooh. So I just want to add that piece about how the world's gotten to where they're at. And then Trey, what's up? Good, welcome to the show. What do you have to offer, sir?
What's poppin', Trey?
Hey, what's good, y'all? All they did was expose their incompetent and inept parenting. Why don't your kids know how to do it? Everything that I learned how to do, OGs talked about driving on a manual. Well, I first learned how to drive a car was on a manual. I learned on a manual. That's how I learned how to drive.
Wait, let me push back just 1 second, just because we could say let me be one of the kids, just to like throw the challenge in there, because I was never taught. So does that mean that my dad is a incompetent parent?
He failed you. Yes. If there are things, if you're going to put your child onto social media and embarrass them about things that they don't know, that they are supposed to know, because that's what this is, saying hilariously, you're exposing these children, right? Saying you don't know how to use this. Well, why don't they know? Right? I didn't know how to use an abacus. I didn't need an abacus when I was growing up. Right? The calculators that we had were mighty different from the calculators my mother had and my grandmother had. So if you want to put their calculator in front of me and say, well, use it, how would I know how to use it? I didn't have to use that. I grew up in the era of Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo.
I'm trying to figure out how her daddy was inadequate because she didn't teach her how to use a column. That's the question she asked.
If I didn't have to use a rotary phone, then why would he be incompetent?
Are you a millennial?
Yep, 95.
Okay, so I'm a millennial too. If they want to expose the fact that these kids don't know how to use it, my question is, why don't they know how to use it?
Why should they know how to use it?
It doesn't matter why they should, because you're putting them on.
If she had an automatic car, wait a minute.
Can I finish, man? God damn, what is your problem, bro?
It's supposed to be a conversation. I thought we supposed to be
let me finish.
I think mine would continue. The question was you wasn't answering the question. Her question to you, her question to you was her daddy inadequate?
You were born in 1958. If I slid a phone in front of you and said work the phone, you wouldn't know what the hell to do either.
Well, look, again, you're not answering her question.
I did answer her question.
No, you did not, sir.
I didn't answer it the way you wanted me to answer.
No, you just didn't answer the question at all.
I did answer the question.
Really quick.
Doc, you muted, Doc.
Thank you. Thank you. I think he did answer the question, but here was the answer. You can tell me if I'm wrong. How was the dad inadequate? If you choose to put your kid on the internet and not have shown them, then it was your right there was, before we even get to how much of an idiot I am, the fact that, see, you didn't say, show me if you know what to do with the phone, why we should have a phone, what's the purpose of the phone. If you remember
how I taught you how to use the phone.
Indeed.
Right.
Doc, she never said anything about the internet. She said her father did not teach her how to use a car. That was the question. Y'all putting all this other stuff with it. Had nothing to do with her question.
Video that we saw. We just
so it was
trying to make
so the car, you asked about a car, Coach K.
Yes.
Right. If I talked about a phone, then he didn't talk about a phone, and I would say the analogy, but I can't speak for you, Trey, but I'm assuming that analogy was
it's the same. If her dad took a camera and put it on the driver's side of the car and told her to start driving, and she crashed the car, it says more about him than it does about her.
I understand, but that is not the question I heard. That's not the question I heard. I asked, she said, she just came straight out and said, if my dad didn't teach me how to drive a certain type of car, would that make him inadequate? Or a bad dad or something like that? She said nothing about a video or anything. She was just saying in real life, in real time.
Then that's an inadequate. That's an inappropriate question. That
Why
question doesn't match the video. We're
No, we
saying
weren't talking
And
about the
he said,
video.
yeah, no, she was just asking the question, and he said,
Because
yeah, your dad
I
failed
was
you. I
saying
thought it was when you were 16.
I'm a kid who doesn't know how to use it. So let's use instead of like assuming, for example, what they might be thinking, let's kind of like, challenge the premise or whatever.
yeah.
So if that's the case, because I don't know how to use it,
Hmm.
aside from the video, I do think that is kind of silly. Like that does look like you're the bad parent. But for the young people, or for if my family never had a rotary phone, or if we did have a cord, and we also had a cordless on the wall. But why would they have had to teach me that or why do kids nowadays even need to know about rotary phones if this is something that we don't use?
So
Hmm.
then that begs the question of why are we even making the TikTok then? Like I don't understand what's the need to embarrass them if you're saying that there was no need for them to even learn it at all. So why embarrass them on social media then?
All right. So, but I'm assuming when you didn't add the technology piece, I hear you, Trey. Well, let's just go before TikTok. Like the part I didn't even put you out there yet. No one even knows. Only Coach King and I know that I wanted her to drive this, but I never taught her. And does that make me a bad person? I'm gonna lean back into what I think Mr. He said, and that's this part. There used to be a time, and we don't have to live in that time. There used to be a time where a parent could do that. All right, Coach, take us to Super America. Take us to whatever. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna read until you figure that shit out. And there was a hunger and a thirst for people to clanker, clinky, clanky, clinky, clink, jerk, do whatever. There was a thirst for it now versus, yeah, you got me fucked up. I don't know what this is gonna do. Pops, I want to take you, but if you're not gonna show me, I'm out. That's one of the
I agree.
differences.
I
And
do
so if you
agree.
go with the version of, if you're not gonna show me, then you fail me. You fucked up because you didn't show me. If we go with the version of, there was a time when the kids actually had a hunger to try and figure shit out and that was part of their pride. Remember Legos? I put this shit together. Look at that, huh? And that hunger is gone. And it seems like you don't even care. It seems like you don't even, and I think that's the disrespect. One of the versions of disrespect is that you don't even care. You rather get out and be you turn into a big crybaby. Like, wow. And now we have two victims. The parent who's disappointed, you ain't shit. That's my kid. You ain't shit, but you my kid. And then you have the kid saying, you my pops, you my mama, you ain't want to even show me shit. You got me messed up. And then add on top of that, you put me on the video for the world. If we add the video, you put me on the World Wide Web. What was the point?
Let me get stuck on stupid for a minute, all right? I want to unpack this, all right? Because this is what I really learned from world class is sit back and listen to the conversation. The conversation was, number one, that J Speed said about this car, said about this, and said about this. We weren't even talking about the video. We was talking about what J Speed said. And then Coach K came in and said, hey, if my dad didn't teach me how to drive a manual, would he be inadequate? Would he be a bad parent? Somewhere in there. So I'm not even connecting that to the video. I'm connecting that to what I said. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I kept saying the question was never answered. It's because the question was answered throughout about the video connection, but not what actually was unpacked.
All right.
And so
my bad.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So my bad, but the part
that's not
I think
true.
the part that was missed was I said
I
let's watch the video, then we're gonna let Trey cook. Yeah, I don't because I paused before I said, well,
yes,
Trey, you cook.
You. That was my answer.
Right. Which would have been about the video, and I said let me do one piece about the video, then Trey, you go ahead and cook. So Coach K then asking the question, it could appear to blend into the question about the video that Trey was going to answer.
Just a miscommunication.
So if his answer is her dad was a bad dad for not teaching her how to, and I would like to ask him, how, or well, he inadequate or whatever. However, what was your question when you asked Miss Coach K? Because I don't want him to get it mixed up.
You don't remember
hey, bro, you've been attacking me in the chat, and so you came up here. You came up here with your butt hurt in the first place. So that's the problem with you.
Well,
all right. So can I have the question Coach K asked?
I did ask for it to be conversational.
You can say what you want to say, bro. You're incompetent. You sent over there 3 butter biscuits from being a heart attack. I'm in shape. I look
Jay,
young.
Jay Speed, if you're going to personalize
What are you
it, then let's
talking
not
about,
have.
bruh?
If you're going to personalize
So why is your
it, yeah.
You
But Jay
got
Speed,
nothing.
let's not.
You're just
The
some
goal is
old
not to
man who got.
personalize it. We can't have the
No, he's been
conversation.
personalized ever since
We
he came up
can't.
here, bro.
We can't have the conversation if we're going to personalize it. It's just we can't.
But
This is what it does because it
Doc,
doesn't have a
this is what I've been saying
have
is
an actual
the
conversation.
person, wait a minute, a person's gonna come up here and give a certain vision of what actually happened, and I say let's unpack it. And then when we unpacked it, it wasn't the way he was trying to explain it.
It wasn't the way you wanted it to be explained.
No.
It wasn't
I
the
said
way
it wasn't
you-
the way he explained it. I ain't say the way he answered. I said it wasn't the way he explained it.
Okay. 5 minutes
Because he
ago,
came up here talking about me.
You didn't even let me finish
5 minutes
explaining
ago,
it.
it was
You
about he
interrupted me.
didn't answer the question. Now it's about how he
Okay,
didn't
but
explain
now
it.
wait. That's why I reiterated on asking her what did she actually say.
Right. Let's
And
move
if he had,
forward.
and wait,
We know what she said, but this is what we
I
call
heard
get
what
your
you said and I answered it.
right. This is what we call get
now
your
he's trying to
power
talk
back.
on you while you're explaining to me.
We're all talking over each other. I'm cool with it. That's why I
Okay,
said
well
tonight
y'all go
it's
sit
called
down and
conversation.
protect each other. You know what? Y'all have a good
Yep.
day.
Yeah, turn
All
your
right,
head.
if you have to run, J Speed,
No, I gotta run because if it's starting not to make sense to me, why am I even having the conversation?
We've gotten shorter and shorter now. Our
No,
capacity-
it's not short and short, bro. I'm just telling you.
capacity-
You sit up here and try to protect him everything he's saying, but I'm telling you what I actually heard.
Yeah. Brother man, you know how many times I protected you and all of us on the
Look,
show?
I'm not attacking you.
But
I'm not
it's
attacking you. I'm
about-
just telling you what's actually happening right now.
Okay. So J Speed, if you
I asked the
perceive
young
it-
lady, what did she
if-
say? That's
Yeah,
all I
if-
asked her. What did
yeah.
she say? And y'all haven't let her answer that question yet.
Right. And J Speed, we're not going to let her ask again.
Thank you.
And and the reason I said that is because what would be the purpose? Just to prove that either Trey is wrong or no one answered. What will be the purpose?
What was
So
the purpose
since
of him trying to talk over us in the first place?
Because we've all been talking over each other.
So that's what
All
it
right.
is.
Yeah, it is. That's the show tonight is for us to have the conversation, even if we
All
step
right.
on each other's toes. All right. So there's no wrong way and no
well,
right
Trey,
way.
you're an asshole.
But see there you. But now see what I'm talking about.
I can call him what he is. You didn't know what he said about me in the chat room. He's an asshole.
All right.
Right, most days I
So-
am.
Right. You're an asshole.
I didn't see that, but
And a professional one at that.
Right,
I
but
will
J
say,
Speed, I would want you to
Doc, it does
respond in
happen.
the chat because here's what's happening. Here, let me pause for a second. Here's what's happening. What are we doing to gather the information to confirm our thoughts that Trey's trying to do this, Coach didn't get that, J Speed's trying to, Doc's trying to. How are we processing? For those listening on the replay or here right now, you can either throw it in the chat. How are any of us processing? You look at the screen. I see JT strategically observing, watching, and listening. Trey F hasn't said a word. He got a bunch of fingers pointing at him. He hasn't said a word. But now, if you think about it, there's usually one in the audience that's kind of enjoying the conflict. There's one in the audience that starts getting all worked up about the conflict. There's one who want to see someone, right? What information do we have that Trey came up to be an asshole? Now, I can say, yeah, I saw his chat and I saw him. All of a sudden, he popped up. I can say that. But at the same time, I can say his voice and his message is just as important. He wants to represent that side. Jay Speed has a side. We all have a side. This conversation is meant for all of our sides. Next thing I want to say is, what are we doing to examine the evidence? Like, what are we doing? Like, what confirmations are we getting that someone's being fucked up?
I stay to the point until he's not attacking what I said, attacking me. You can say what you want to say, Doc. I stayed to the point of what this video was all about. Now, if you don't understand it or you understand it, that's cool and fine. If you disagree with me, that's cool and fine. But when you start taking and saying little slick shit, I've been on this earth long enough knowing when somebody's saying some slick shit.
Right.
And I know he's a little butthurt from last week, and that's what it's all about.
I'm not
Right.
saying
So
slick.
last week,
That's what it's all about, bro.
Yeah.
No, you're
last
out of
week's
touch and you're
energy.
incompetent. That's exactly the
Right.
words that I use. In the
Yeah.
chat, I use those same words. I'm
Right.
using those same words right now.
Thank
You're
you.
out of touch
Thank you.
and
And
you're
I stayed to
incompetent.
the point what this video supposed to be about.
Yes.
I did not start
You did
attacking
that.
him.
You did that.
Yeah.
But in the environment
When I got attacked,
that you're in,
wait a minute, when I got attacked, I'm gonna fight back, bro.
The environment that you're in is going to lead to not everyone doing it the same way. The moment you came up, you should understand the moment you come up that you might present a certain way and not everyone else is. And when they don't, how do we then control ourselves and not take what they say personal? We know there's a bunch of idiots everywhere in the world. We know there's a bunch of people who are smart everywhere in the world. And you put them together, the idiot is going to think the smart one is an idiot, and the smart one is going to think the idiot is an idiot, or maybe even smart. So we already know the moment you come to this kind of universe.
Well, bro, doctor, no disrespect. I think Trey was up here. I think my other brother was up there. I don't remember his name. I think TJ was up here. He said it was up here. And I think we all said something different, but we did it in a respectful way. And so what I'm saying, that's the conversation. But
and
when
what
you
is respect? We had
wait. I got you. But I think we have a common ground what foundation is. And you know when you've been attacked. We ain't gonna play these games like we don't know when we've been attacked, bro.
But that's the
let's
whole
don't play
point.
that. Let's don't play that.
Who says it's a game and who says you're being attacked? And even if you are, how do we roll with it?
Wait a minute. Did you not hear me? Did you not hear me? I said it was a game. I said it was some slick shit. So did you not hear me?
I hear you now saying.
Okay, so you hear me. So why you ask me question? Who said it? And when I just said it.
What evidence do you have that there was some? No, wait. Because now I'm guilty of going down the bunny hole, I'm going down the bunny trail with you. The brother said what he said. If you personalize it, that's on you. All right, I'm going down the rabbit hole. You know what I mean when I say that? Where's the evidence that he came to the show to insult you? He came up here to be on national, whatever, international, whatever, just for
I tell you what, you look at the show again and then you call me and we'll have that conversation.
Sounds good. All right.
How about that?
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Peace, love, and always strive for the truth, asshole.
All right. Take care.
So,
yes, sir.
We was at back on track. Okay. So, by trade, I am a DJ. And I started DJing in like mid 90s, right? So when I started DJing, I started DJing with, record players. Technique 12s, regular mixer, regular, speakers and things like that. As time went on, kind of like 2010, 2005, something like that, a lot of people started DJing. Like when I was DJing, it wasn't like a slew, like everybody in Mama DJs now, right? And one of the reasons why was because you can just get a laptop, you get an external drive, you can go download a bunch of music. Wasn't like that during my time. I had actual records, crates, I had crates. I had all these different things that was analog, what we call analog DJing.
Yeah.
And as time went on, I had to start upgrading my equipment. One reason is because there's a whole bunch of people that was not lugging bulky speakers and 1,000 crates and heavy turntables and cases and and stuff like that. And I just saw how easy it was to do that. However, in this business, one of the things that you have to know that will happen, you're going to have some of your equipment to blow out. Your speaker going to blow out, amp going to blow out, but your computer going to crash. These things will happen. What made me more valuable than a lot of DJs, like especially when I came back to Michigan, was because I still was using phonographic records. I still was using CDJs on top of using the software, using Tractor and Video DJ, all these different, different softwares and stuff like that. And I just remember seeing some of these guys that were younger, a lot younger. And they was getting business everywhere. But a lot of them messed their own business up because they only had what they had. They only brought what they had. and that was it. You know, so a lot of these guys, they almost messed their money up, or some of them did mess their money up because they were trying to DJ off their phone, the cell phone, the smartphone. You know, with myself, if I blow out a speaker, I just go to the truck and get another one. If I blow out, you know, if my computer crash, I got another computer. Or if I ain't got a computer, guess what I could do? Go get my records, go get my CDs. I always had CDJs, I always had CDs. And it was the whole thing of this whole war of technology. Cutting edge technology, and technology has been here forever, right? This is what we're dealing with right now when it comes down to it. The rotary phone. Yes, it's disrespectful when you're looking at somebody struggling or whatever. However, within that, that could be a teaching moment. I get what Trey was saying when he was saying, you're going to do it, you're going to embarrass me on, you know, on IG instead of, oh, I see you let them work it out, see if they can work it out. If they can't work it out, guess what you're going to do? This is a teachable moment.
Right.
And then we're going to move on. It's the same thing on driving. You never driven a manual transmission before, I'm going to teach you. I'm not going to wait till your ass go out there and crash and tear up your doggone transmission. You know, it's a little humor, a little bit, you know, but it's still the gift should be to teach. Right. And what's happening right now is that with technology, what's happening right now, it plateaued. So most people, they never grew up with the regular cell phone. Remember the flip phones? There are kids right now that are adults that have never dealt with a flip phone.
I had a flip phone.
Right. But so here's my pushback, JT, and not to you, but overall, because the topic tonight really is these broken promises. Okay. So the promise was that you were going to teach me as my parent, and the promise was that you would be able to take care of me in the next generation. These things are broken, but there's so much double conflict that there's so much conflicting things. Give you an example. How many show after show after show after we show, when we talk about we want to have the conversation, and because one person comes up and says something we don't like, but yet we're holding on to something. We're holding on to something. How many shows have we seen about the man protecting his woman, man protecting his woman? How far did Jay Speed go to protect Coach K and what she was asking? How much of that was about some other situation, but we address it now? How many of our relationship problems have nothing to do with the person we're dating now and everything to do with the person we dated years ago? And when we think about how are we processing, and the other part of this title tonight, victimhood, victim identity. So as strong as this brother is, this boxer, this comedian who's been on stage where people booed and laughed, he already knows there's certain things you can't even say on this network. And in fact, some of his shows, he turns the comments off because he knows people are going to be talking crazy. No need in even challenging me. So if you come into that, if you have that mindset on your show, no need to even challenge me. And if we carry that with us, no need in challenging me, that means everywhere we go now, we have this mentality that we can't be challenged because I have this knowledge, you need to listen. And I think the Treys and all the other people in the world that have said, yay for you, but that doesn't motivate me. How many times have we talked? So even now when we're talking about, well, did you teach me? I've heard people talk about, Mandrell has said, I don't care who you are and what you know. When the shit starts flying, I'm going to unholster this and put it in your hand. All you got to do is aim that way and I don't give a shit about if you know the brand, if you know about the whatever. But that right there, you see it pop. Now, stay alive.
Yeah.
Stay alive. And if some colorful words got you all sensitive and got your panties all up in your ass crack over some sensitive words, let me see that. It works like this. Pop! No need in having you next to me because you're going to be a liability. Next.
Let's get out of here.
Right. So, welcome to the show, Freezy. Welcome. Good to have you here. Brother. Good to see you.
Can I say this, Doc? Because I never actually got to say what I wanted to say.
Yes, sir. Please do.
Me, but that's fine. She's a host. She can do that, right? But then he interrupted me, right? My issue here is that from what I see, our generation has more compassion when we want to teach the older folks something. We don't do it to embarrass them, right? We don't put them on social media and say, hey, here's something you've never done before. And then we just throw something at you and say, all right, figure it out. But what I see constantly from the older generation is, here's something, and we're going to embarrass you because you should just know how to do this. When in actuality, no, they shouldn't. They shouldn't know how to use a rotary phone. Ask them if they have to dial 9 to get an outside line first. Most people would have no idea what you're talking about. That doesn't make any sense to them. And I see the older generations time and time again, they lack this sort of compassion for the younger folks and then want to get upset when the younger folks say, I'm not listening to you. I've tuned you out. I don't want to hear what you have to say anymore, because there was an opportunity, like JT said, for you to teach me, and yet you chose to embarrass me instead. Whereas on the other hand, I have a grandmother, I had great grandparents, when we teach them things about, she didn't know nothing about no Facebook, no Instagram. We sat them down and we taught them, hey, this is how the world communicates now. This is how they do it. Now they didn't like it, they rejected it, but that has more to do with their generation than anything. But we didn't embarrass them. You know what I mean? And I see that often. So when I see these videos, I immediately think, that says more about you than it does about those kids. And I'll land with this. They still sort of figured it out in record time. They still sort of figured it out in record time. It didn't take them 3-4 days to figure it out. They kind of figured it out for the most part. Okay, this kind of moves here. Okay, got a road. Okay, all right, I get it. But we always want to play this game of, well, these kids don't have any critical thinking. Well, that's because the generations before who were in charge took critical thinking out of the schools. So whose fault is it really?
Yep. Just two pieces before you jump in, Freeze. Or Coach, go ahead.
No.
Okay.
I was going to say that's a good point, but you go ahead.
I'm going to say there's two pieces just before you jump in, Freeze. Two pieces of what I just took away from what Trey said. So one, that generation, even before technology, has always had the habit of, man, this knucklehead, guess what they did today? That's always been talking about. Let me tell you what happened. It's always been that element of embarrassment. Technology just helps us even do it even faster, or now even
Shaming,
video, right? The shaming. We've been shaming forever about, yeah, let me tell you, they done call me up at the school complaining. So that's one, it's been a generational thing forever, even before the technology. Secondly, I love when you said it's more about you, because I'm now showing out, this is my legacy. Like, I'm showing, this is the best I can show for my legacy. Now, if it had been a full, like, this is how they were and this is how they are now, that's totally different. The flip side of that is, there was a time, but that technology trait F, again, when I'm talking about, now you get the text and you remember to bring eggs. That's why I say the technology doesn't match the behavior, because there was a time when you didn't talk back to your grandma, grandpa. They could tell you how stupid you are, how dumb you are, trying to show you, hit you in the head with a 2x4, do all kind of things. And you withstood, you endured, you wanted to say something, but you didn't. And I think the older folks now are like, don't listen. We do listen. You're not telling us shit. We are telling you. So there's one of the conflicts. You don't listen because we're used to where you and you don't listen, just be submissive and just be quiet and listen. And that's a form of respect. And then the other side is, that's not respect. In fact, that's stupid. If you sat there all that time, if you stood there for an hour just listening and all that and didn't say a word, you'd have done it. So that's one of the conflicts. Freezy, good to see you.
Man, it's good to see all y'all. Doc, Coach K, my dog JT. How you doing, Trey? Both Treys, and how y'all doing? Man?
Let it.
Hey man, when I came up, I was like, "What's going on?" It's usually calm over here. God,
it's still calm. We're having a casual conversation and inviting all perspectives. There's no one right way. I was
like, it's got to be Coach K's fault, man.
Yeah.
Qualities.
Yeah. SPU, J Speed, what's up? Yes.
Hey, you take a shot at me, bro, about my channel when I wasn't up on the what's name. A reason why I do.
Hold on, but I'm
no.
Like that.
Okay, let me just say what I need to say.
Can you mute him, please? Can you mute him? You just don't come up and just start, because when you hear, you ran away. So
I didn't run away, bro. I didn't run away.
But okay, well you're back, but I need you to wait your turn. You can address it. All right. Thank you. You can do it, but just wait, please. Freezy, welcome to the show.
I rewinded a little bit, and I seen you show the video about the kids messing with. Was it a rotary clock, a rotary phone, or something?
Rotary
like
phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And basically, the basis of the show is victim mentality or victim identity.
Right. Yep.
Right. So
how our thinking that we were promised, our expectations, our feeling disappointed, feeling like we got left behind, wasn't this, wasn't that, the promises were broken that we were supposed to have, and now I'm a victim.
Right. What? See, I'm torn in between that terminology because I hear it a lot in these spaces. Especially when people have complaints or when people, especially when we're talking about leveling up, making more money, not staying in the same place, when it's a financial conversation. When people go to start talking about slavery, and that's when I hear it the most, right? And the reason why I'm torn between the terminology is because sometimes I feel like people go there because it's an easy attack. Like somebody might be making a valid point, and then we'll just say, "Oh, it's a victim mentality." You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I kind of tiptoe towards that terminology because there's truths in what people say. Like even me, I tell stories about, my dad wasn't a good dad. I didn't have a good dad. I didn't have a good.
Says who? Says who?
Says me, right?
Right. So sounds like you're a victim.
No. What?
Okay.
Thing.
What makes him not a good dad?
Well, I mean, it's a
take your time.
thing.
Take your time. He's a what?
We ain't got all night, do we?
No, but I'm not discrediting your point. What I'm saying is, how much is it holding you up, or has it held you up? How much has it delayed your?
This is the thing. I have experienced insecurities because of it.
Yep.
Extreme insecurities, right?
There we go.
And I've experienced stress. And I've experienced a lot of doubt growing up in my life, right? And so that can hinder a kid from actually exceeding the way he or she should.
1 billion%. But how long do you stay hindered?
Well, this is the thing, right? You don't even, some people don't even know that they're in it. Like, it's like, when we say victim mentality, you're a victim. You're just a victim. You're a victim mentality, right? Well, you might be saying victim mentality, but for that person, it might be real life, like trauma.
Yes. Right. And all we
go ahead,
Coach.
This is great, and Dr. Jacoby, I live for this. This ties into because this is kind of a part 2 from last week. But Dr. Nakambi was talking about Hassan Campbell, right? And sorry to hear Dr. Nakambi, if you want to keep going, or you and Freezy.
Okay.
But because someone could say, Freezy, you're a you're acting like a victim, but there's more to it. And I think that's why Dr. Nakambi is kind of pulling out some of these things. But keep going.
Yeah. Right. Because he was outside expressing his pain. Now the route that he did it, that's questionable. He was expressing his pain. People were laughing. I watched the replay video. Look at this fool. Look at this fool. He was saying he got raped. I watched some people do some replays and said he wanted that. I'm sorry, let me rewind. You said this little boy who was getting raped by this grown man, King Alex or African Alex, whatever his name was. Did y'all just hear this correct? That the content provider said that this little boy wanted to be raped, and look at him now acting like a little bitch. That's where we're at in our society, where instead of acknowledging, well, it's unfortunate that it happened, but brother, you being out there now, that's kind of probably not going to get you the results that you're looking for. So is he a victim, or is he out there expressing himself?
Well, see, Doc, this is the thing, though. I didn't stay crying about my past, right? I did come. Life made me say, Freezy, you need to get off your ass and you need to hustle, right? And that's what I did. But this is what we miss. Yes, I leveled up, I hustle, I grind, but I still carried a lot of unhealthy
Absolutely.
things, with me. A lot
Right.
of things still was not corrected. Yes,
Right.
I made, substantial amount of money and I leveled up, and to the naked eye, where I live, Freezer might be the man.
Right. But
But
not knowing
behind
the
Freezer, did you
internal
feel like a
trajectory.
victim or a survivor?
well, I survived most definitely.
Okay,
did.
now I'm just asking you the question. Did you feel like, because a lot of people use this victim word a lot, and
right.
people don't look at themselves as a victim, they look at themselves as a survivor. So they look at themselves totally different as a person. Oh, poor me, poor me. No, this is my experience in life. This is what I had to go to. This is who I cultivate myself to be, and that's who I am. But I'm still have the right to talk about the things that happened to me that wasn't fair, that I can consider wasn't fair, or a good father. So I'm just saying is, we use this word victim more than I think the people who might be experiencing something, because some people just straight out survivors. But I did want to make your point, and I'm gonna segue this into it. I do content on places that most people don't even think
Are we
about.
going back to the channel talk now, or that?
No, I'm just saying I do content on people who consider themselves victim, because I'm gonna tie this all in. The people who consider themselves
let's
victim.
get SBU, and if you switching it to
No, it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Okay, go ahead.
People who consider themselves being victims, and then what I do is go back historically and show some events of them being the perpetrator. And so I'm not gonna be a victim. I know smarter than that. So I'm gonna cut off my comment sections so these people who consider themselves victims can't come in there and get my YouTube channel thrown down.
Yep. So I'm gonna pause you for a second, because this is what's called getting your power back. You still addressed the channel thing, which then still just overstepped SBU. I said, please, brother, you're more than welcome to respond. Let's do it in order. So this would actually be a version of what we call, did you just disrespect the process?
I didn't.
Right. But I'm just saying, that's the question. That's just a version. That's one version of right now when I ask. But then on the flip side of that, it's like, whoa, before we got to your question, Doc, you disrespected me so see how it becomes who disrespected who first?
Oh, I mean, we can play these games all we want to, Doc.
Right.
We can play them all the way till Jesus Christ come back. But I still tied it in to what he was talking about. I tied it in as far as the victim. Regardless of how you say it, I stayed on point.
Okay. For purposes of SBU is not normally in the spaces where we exchange this type of energy. So out of respect for what I'm gonna say, you're correct. I'm not a passively you're correct. I'm saying, okay, no need to, you're right, you did it. I'm gonna tie it now. I'm gonna go pause that. For my part of it, I'm gonna pause and go back to Freezy and say thank you for bringing your point. Let's have SBU. Welcome to the channel tonight. Welcome. Good to see you.
Before we go to SBU, can I just land my plane one? I'm sorry, SBU. How you doing?
I'm good.
I just want to say, I don't think most people actually call themselves victims. I think most people get called a victim.
Thank you.
Right?
Correct.
So I don't think people just go around. Most men, especially men have too much pride to say, I'm a victim. You know what I'm saying? So,
right. But they're not a victim of the situation. You're not a victim of your father not being around. That's not what I mean by victim.
Yeah.
I'm talking about grasping a mind and getting caught into faulty thinking. I'm actually a victim of like circumstance. I'm a victim of like, I surrendered unknowingly. So right now, for the men who are told you're not a man, and for the women who are told you should have sex with a bunch of people, the women who are having sex, they're not victims, but they have been victimized to this idea. They surrendered to the idea that they should have more than one. And they came from people who said, you want to have only one. You want to get to the point where you can actually bring value with your body to your husband. And it went from that message to now what we call 304s. The victimization, because Because if you think about a 304, you know what we're going to say? They didn't have a daddy. They didn't have this. They didn't have that. She's just a piece of trash. She's just a piece of ass. She's just a, and then we're given these labels. But what they got victimized into was the belief. So their core belief system has been compromised, and now they're engaging in what perceives to be the new version of love. The new version of love. It's almost like a domestic situation, and I'll land quickly, but it's almost like a domestic situation where I know I shouldn't accept this abuse, but when I hear you moan from me doing whatever, enduring this thing, and you moan, that one little moan felt so good that I did something positive. I've become victim of doing whatever it takes, even against it, if it goes against my values, my family traditions, and all that. That's the victim mentality. So I get what you're saying about the YouTube. Yeah, but that's our version of the victimization, because we're talking about how do you change that mindset.
Right.
All right. But thank you for landing your plane, because another thing we do, which, see how I just shifted? Well, let's go back to SBU, which then we would have then dismissed your whole point about. So thank you for coming back to that. Thank you.
It's all good.
SBU.
Hello, everybody. I hope y'all are doing
Good
well.
evening.
How are you doing?
Yes.
I'm doing good. This is like a great topic because it kind of leads into what we've been saying. Freezy, I think you are exactly right. No one calls themselves or would say to themselves that they are a victim. You're exactly right. But to actually change the mindset of being a victim, I think the simple answer, and Doc, it may not be this simple, but it's accountability. Because what we're doing is saying, or what we're doing is blaming our behaviors, or our mindset has been created upon things that have happened to us in our life. And that's what has grown us up. When we can admit, or when we can see that those things shouldn't have happened and they were wrong things, then we could absolutely get out of that mindset. Now, some of those things could have been wrong things, but some of those things could have been things that we actually partaked in. And that's the part where it's like, for me, that gets kind of hard. You know, that's a hard call because you don't know, was I in a wrong mindset and caused this, or in a wrong place and allowed this to happen to myself? Or was I just point blank violated? And if I was just point blank violated, then I need counseling. I was a victim. It just goes back to what you said. You were a victim. I need help. I need counseling. But on the flip side of it, my mindset is still groomed out of my choices and the things that I did. So am I now a victim, or do I just need to self-reflect and become accountable for my actions? And I think,
are you capable?
Are we even capable? But it goes back to what Freezy said. I don't even know I'm here. You know, I don't even know this is actually going on in my life. Somebody else would probably have to tell me that this is what's, they could see those patterns. But if I continue to do the same things over and over again, I do have to grow up and wake up and say, hey, you know what? I'm the one that's doing this over and over again. I have an issue. This is no longer, especially if I'm an adult. Now, it went from something that happened. Now I need to take accountability for it because I'm an adult now. When am I going to start making different choices? It's like what you just said, Doc. I think that's where you were going when you said that. How long do you stay there? How long do we stay there? So I think I kind of agree with both of you all. And it is something that we do need to do as far as a woman goes, because you mentioned a 304. And I'm not going to go so much to a 304, although some people would maybe label a woman this way. But I kind of equate it to a young man came on my channel, and he mentioned a girl kept having babies over and over again. And I told him, I was like, you know what? You might not see it this way, but she's looking for love. And every time she gets that feeling from a different man of pleasure, she is actually looking for that over and over again. Now, could I say that she's a victim? Or is she just searching for something that she will never find? Because she keeps subjecting herself to this man. And when you get together and you're having sex, that's one of the, that's the best feeling you can actually have. So she keeps, and she's equating that to some type of love. But every time, not every time, but a lot of times she's ending these relationships with another child. So now she's 6 kids and no husband. So it's like, is she a victim, or whatever happened in her childhood that made her seek love in this way? What was it? You know, so
So
Secure
from
the
a
boss.
clinical perspective,
Secure the boss.
we would say, hot second, sir, please. From a clinical perspective, I would say she's a victim of not knowing how to access her critical thinking.
Right.
Because one side said this is the correct thing to do, the other side said this is probably not. So the victimization, we could name she was probably raped, she was probably this, didn't grow up in the best home, but we can deal with the past or we can deal with the current. But either way, the victimization is the skill set, meaning she's the victim, she's in position to where she's probably not capable because the trauma is so strong, or doesn't even see, like her lens is only this big, and the people who are talking to her are talking about lenses from here. I don't even know what you're talking about. This is all I know. This is all I know. So in fact, when you say some of that other stuff, I feel disrespected because you're talking to me like hold on, who are you? Who are you? And so then I now have to talk even with defense. F you, blah, 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 rah, I have to fight back. I wasn't even trying to fight you. And this is where we get the people who are the content providers offering good stuff, but they get pushback because it's like you make no sense. That BS you're talking about. My stuff is BS because you believe I shouldn't be having all these kids. Says who? Because I'm paying taxes to take care of them. Well, don't pay the taxes. No one asked you. I mean, so that's what. Right.
Well, so my question is to security boss, but it's going to go back to you, doctor.
Yes, sir.
All right. My question is, the gentleman he made a great example of. I know history of that guy, and I'm trying to figure out: are you saying, Doc, he's a victim of somebody laughing at him, saying he wanted that, when you don't know the history of him going on his own web page, doing the same thing you accusing somebody else of doing to him, and that's the history of his channel, and that's why he's getting attacked like that? It's because he has a history of going out and doing the same thing that you just said that people were doing to him, and he laughed about it. He called people out, and that's why he's getting the chicken come home to roost, bro.
Yeah,
sometime.
Yeah. Absolutely, 1,000,000,000%. And so if I were to use, and so again, if I go into the history or
that's what I'm speaking of.
Yep. And if Coach K were to use the coaching, victimhood is, first of all, when I say victim identity, meaning I'm working out of this frame. So myself is not the victim, but the frame that I'm working out of. I might not know how to deal with counter arguments. So no, you didn't see, how dare y'all do that to me? Do you not hear the counter argument? So what you're saying now doesn't make sense because we just watched one of your videos where you were doing exactly the thing that you are itching about, because they don't have the mindset, the skill set to know how to manage counter arguments, to know how to manage faulty thinking, deceptive thinking, feeling like they were treated unjustly, but you were doing the same thing. But my lens is I felt pain and no one did anything about it. And that's what I'm really screaming. Damn that I made the video, but now it's my pain, my pain, my pain. Just listen to me. So you want us to listen to you. And that's the other key point. Do you know how long we go in life that we just may not ever feel heard? Authentically
but Doc,
heard.
I think you getting a generalization of me. See, I'm one of the most unique person when you attack me. I come at your ass funny. I come at your ass mad. I come at you so many different ways you don't know how to handle it. So
are you married?
And then when I cut off and I click off, when I click off from this, I go back to do exactly what I do. I got 18 people I got to take care of, and none of this bothers me because just like you said, I've been in the ring for 21 years. I've been on stage for almost close to 30. So none of this stuff really affects me. So when I say it don't affect me, I'm saying is I've been doing this combating all my life, my bro. And I don't been in different rings, different stages.
Wait.
Why
you rage quit like a child if it doesn't bother you?
No.
Let him finish, please.
I thought I was disturbing your show into the platform, and that's why I left. All right? I thought there were certain times I thought that you believed that I were. Now, this is my thought. This is my opinion. I thought you had the way you was coming at me that but you never correcting anyone else. You was only correcting me. So I feel like I was throwing a grenade on your show.
Okay.
And
All
so
right,
I
fair
feel
enough.
like it was
May I
time
ask,
for me to remove myself.
can we get some evidence to that? You and I both will be quiet for a quick moment, not telling a grown man to be quiet, just if you and I will pause, what did the rest of you, other than Trey, because you said Trey is already coming at you. Because you would be considered like
This
you would
is
be considered
about
one of the
me.
bad guys.
This man has an issue. This entire thing is sparked.
I know, but I'm asking
By the
for
way, this
evidence.
is a man who was born in
Oh,
1958. You're
Trey,
talking like a
Trey.
child.
But I know, but
You're
Trey,
like talking
pause,
like a
please.
child, bruh.
Trey, pause,
You
please, because
rage quit. No. We don't
we gave
address
him the
his
space.
issues.
Trey, we
But this
gave him
is
the
supposed to be
space.
an elder. This is a 65-year-old man.
I never
He's
said
supposed to be an
anything to him.
elder.
JT, I don't have control of the button. I need to pause because I'm trying to prove the evidence for JT and I. Did you guys receive that I only attacked Jace, or only countered, only attacked, only addressed from the entirety of the show, J Speed? Coach, JT, Trey F.
No, I didn't see that.
Okay, Trey F.
I don't know how to answer that question, man. I mean, I just don't right now. It's been a lot said, and everybody has a point, but and all of us are going to be victims differently. I just
but no, not victims. I'm asking you. I'm only asking you one question. Do you feel that I countered anything that you said? Anything Mr. He said? Did you feel I countered anyone?
No, you just raised the question, which is normal to me. So,
I mean, but opposite of what the person's belief was or statement, was J Speed the only one that I challenged?
Oh no,
in
no,
your
no,
opinion?
no.
No.
Everyone was challenged. You just challenged Freezy.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. All right. And Coach K?
I don't think that's what I said.
Okay.
No,
and
not
Coach K?
necessarily. The only thing I can add, though, which may provide understanding for Doc, maybe, is that, and Jay Speed, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but, and I know you guys may have beef from like last week or I don't know, but Trey did say something in the chat about Jay Speed, but Doc, I don't think you can see the chat, right?
I don't. I only see ours. I mean, if I press the button, I can see the chat, but right now I
I
only
don't
see
think
us.
you're watching it.
Doc,
like
I'll tell you what I wrote. I wrote that when he was speaking, what he said made no sense, and that he was out of touch. That's what I wrote.
Okay. So this is the point I want to make right now.
Yes.
This is what I mean by gathering information, because when we feel a certain type of way, what evidence have we put together before we react versus respond? And I don't just mean you. I'm talking about the overall conversation of the broken promise. So you and I have had nothing but love for each other. Pause. But we've had nothing but love for each other. Okay. So in my view, I'm doing nothing more than what I've done for anyone else on this show or any other show. I'm right down the middle. My attempt be in the middle, not because I don't want to pick a side, but because I'm saying, "Oh, you have a point," but boom, yeah, you have a point, but because that's the world we live in. So if you felt disrespected or dismissed or played or attacked, the intent is not to do that. And then watch this. The intent is to do that because you are OG J Speed, who has life experience, who can handle a punch, who can handle a joke. And my point is, you turn your comment section off on purpose to say, no need in debating me. Because if you ever notice, SBU, take heed to the message, the SEDS, JT, Freezy, all the ones that have the shows where they're giving information, those are the ones that get the wildest comments. Well, how come the thing in the what are you talking about? Are you trolling? Are you J Speed?
Doc, you doing it again. Doc, you doing it again. You doing it again. I just came up here and explained why I do. I talk about Jews, bro. I talk about the Middle East, bro. And so I know when people put certain comments and versus the content you do, they can take down your channel. Just to speak about them little people, you can get your channel down. So I'm very careful how I'd go about it. I've been doing this ever since 2010. All
How many
right.
years
So
is that?
say what? That's
How many years
13.
is that?
That's on.
All
That's
right.
just that's just in the cloud. I've been doing this ever since 1976, bro.
Okay.
Doc, he's
And
not
so what I'm
listening.
saying is, what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, and there's certain things that certain people go talk about. All right. There's certain things like, you know, most of these spaces they only talk about, you know, vagina and penis, that and relationship. I talk about world events. World events that some of my friends have got arrested for
Yes, sir.
and go to jail.
Okay.
But I'm so unique how I do it and bring to that attention. The only people I see talking about these subjects that I'm talking about really are white people.
Okay.
They're talking about these subjects.
What's your channel?
What my channel? You know what channel is, bro?
I'm looking for it. I'm looking for it. What's your? I mean, like, would you just tell me like some letters to it or something? Or
JSPOG, the ghost.
Right. Because I'm pressing subscription, but it's giving me all the pictures instead of just the titles. I mean the name.
Well, because I was in this business way before YouTube came along. I worked in Hollywood for 35 years. So when you do put my name in, a lot of other shit go come up. So it is what it is.
All right. So here's what I was looking for. Maybe someone else can find it. First, I want you to see how I acknowledged you. I listened. Yes, sir. And then what I'm going to ask someone to do is open your channel because I'm looking for it. I put in JT, but I'm looking for it. And if someone finds it, I want them to do me a favor. Let me know when you find it. And then I want you to press his content. I want you to press the button, and read the paragraph and tell me if you see these words. No need in pushing back, or something like no need in telling me that I'm wrong. No need. Tell me if you see that, please.
Now, see, this is where you've been disingenuous.
Whoa.
I'm gonna give you the no, ain't no whoa. You can say what you say, and I say what I say. All right, they can read it for themselves. I say it's my journey, and it's not your story to tell. Your life is your journey, Doc, and it's not for nobody else to come and tell your life. But when I'm having an open conversation about an issue, that's not my journey. We are having a conversation. I'm talking about my personal journey. You don't have the right to tell my journey. It's not your story to tell. But that's something totally different when I'm on a platform and having a conversation, bro. And that's why I say you've been disingenuous at this point, because it is my journey, my history, the things I went through, the ring, the fights I had inside the ring, the stunts I did in Hollywood, the voices over I did in radio station. That's my journey. I can tell you my story. But when we having a conversation about an issue, that's something totally different. That's why I say you've been totally disingenuous. Okay. Now read the whole thing, and then you'll see why I said that.
All right. So I would like to end it with this part of the conversation. I hear you say you feel that I'm being disingenuous. I'm going to own that because I can't tell you how to feel. I'm going to own that it appears that I'm being disingenuous. This is where I talk about the gathering of facts. I've watched your show and I've been unable to comment on the showpiece like it's the music and it's you talking. Because you're saying what I have to offer you, don't need an arguing with me, because you're going to get the knuckleheads who try and tell you that your journey was wrong. You're going to get the knuckleheads who try and tell you what you should have done. And when I see you saying, no need, if you're here to enjoy the show, please do. Your comments are open because I've left comments. But what I'm talking about is you don't leave the space for idiots to waste your time, eat your energy, because you already know what you're offering is so valuable. You don't have time to be fucking around with some stupid comments.
So why did I don't cut off my comments when I'm live then? But if that's what you're saying, bro, that's what you're saying.
I didn't cut you off.
No, I'm just saying, why don't cut off my comments?
Hold your sensitivity, and let me finish.
No, don't play this bullshit with me right about now. Let's talk like men then. Let's talk like
let's do it respectfully. Can you do it respectfully? Because I listened to you, and I'm explaining. If you felt I was being disingenuous, Maybe that's what it was. But I'm explaining to you the facts of my comment where they came from. They came from the idea. And for you to tell me what my idea is when I'm trying to offer you where I came from, you want to stay stuck you want to stay stuck in that victim mentality.
And you stuck.
That I tried to fuck
you stuck. You just using a bunch of fancy words, but you stuck.
Okay,
You're stuck. You're stuck. You trying to use a bunch of fancy ass words, but you're stuck.
Okay, listen. So since I'm stuck, don't listen to me anymore, right? Because here's the only thing I've said from the beginning.
Oh, now it's starting to come out. Now it's starting to come out. Now it's starting to come out. Now you are doing the same thing you accused me doing earlier. You're doing the same thing you accused me of doing earlier. You are doing the same thing you accused me of doing earlier.
I'm gonna pause you. I don't have the buttons. I'm gonna ask JT to pause.
No.
Okay. Thank you. Now here's why I'm doing that. And I know this is the Underpowered Network, but this is unproductive. And considering that we went past the time, not you guys' fault. Overall, we just went past the time. So out of respect. So this is unproductive. I was actually complimenting you when I said you don't allow for the bullshit. You turn your comments off. It was a backwards compliment to one, draw you back to be like, don't run like a bitch. You're a boxer. You are a comedian. You are used to people talking shit to you.
Don't use my name and bitch in the same word, bro. Okay. Don't use my name and bitch in the same sentence.
All right, fair enough. Thank you. I heard that. I'm gonna ask that you don't language police me, but out of respect, let me finish, please. Out of respect, I will not use the two words. Okay, out of respect. But just so you know, in general, I don't allow for people to language police me, but out of respect. So I'm showing you how I do offer you respect, which you consider disingenuous.
But that's not what you said.
But just a second, please, because when I listen
when I was off the show,
I'm asking you to wait. Lower your sensitivity right now. Don't,
bro. You did not say.
Don't personalize it. Just listen, okay?
Dunk your line.
Just listen. So I know where I was coming from about the point about your comments. Comment section. I know that comment.
You took a shot at
that paragraph. I know that paragraph that says no need and you even da. And so here's the deal. It must have worked because you came back.
Doc. You took a shot at Mandrell. You took a shot at me. And what you just give your son about what you just did now is totally different what you said when I was not on the channel. So don't tell me this is what I was saying and this is what I mean. I took it exactly how you said it and what you meant. You took a shot at him and you took a shot at me.
Okay. If Mandrell has a problem with it, I'll wait to hear from him.
That's some slick shit. I told you I know the slick shit, how to smell it, touch it, or feel it.
Then all my shit is slick, and I'm gonna offer some slick shit, and I'm gonna move the show forward. There's my slick shit.
Thank you.
I'm throwing the slick shit out there, and I'm moving it forward.
Okay.
All right, brother. Lost in translation. Welcome to the show. And out of time because usually our people, the engineers in the back, and I know JT is here and Lost in Translation is here, so you guys can actually run the channel. So thank you. Run the panel. And Coach K, if you ever want to jump in, please do. We'll go a little longer, but if you need to head out, cool. The conversation tonight, and I want this to be, or we want this to actually be conversational, which offers this type of conflict without running. And I don't mean J Speed leaving is running. I mean like without us running to a point where one of us, any of us feel like we've been whatever, or we can't be part of it. So now watch this, J Speed. I'm gonna just mention your name one time as an example. Watch me throw someone else some pushback. I wish SBU stayed. Because did you hear me when I said, not you, J Speed, did any of us hear when I said, let's not do this because usually SBU is not in this type of energy in this space with this kind of pushback. But before we can even get back to kind of level, already she's gone. She's a content provider that probably didn't want to have any clips for her in the mess, but that capacity, that allowance, our ability to do that type of managing counterpoints, that ability to do DBT work where both ends might be, and I'm not saying SBU couldn't do that. I'm saying we're at the point now where I wanted this show to be where we can engage and where we might step on each other's toes. And it's okay because there's no one way fits all. But it does talk about the psychology of it. Okay, so the psychology of it. So that's unfortunate that we lost SBU, but I
That's a
totally
straw
get it.
man argument because she has been in some of the greatest battles that we are in right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe
but
you
it was
need to visit over.
for her to be here while you and I were engaged. We weren't.
I understand, but I'm just saying you was making her as an example why she might be here or not be here. And I'm saying I've been on her channels and the clouds where she has been in some. She tested, bro. She is tested. She's been in battles too. Everybody, you been in space long enough, you go be in some battles.
Yes. So Coach K, this is the example of the show tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Jay Speed and I are what I would call dick measuring. Okay, who's going to be the bigger? Who's going to be more right? Because my point about SBU is not a dig at her. I'm saying I, as one of the co-hosts, I taking ownership, saying, "Damn, fuck, I should have stopped the exchange with Jay Speed and I before we lost SBU because this unproductive energy or exchange, not energy, excuse me, I apologize. This exchange, that's not what she came up for. And so when she left, it's like, damn it, trust me, I know, I've heard her. I've witnessed, I've been on a couple of her shows. You are 1 billion% correct. She is tested. So I'm not saying she's the lesser, she ran away, she was scared, but I'm saying, damn it, we missed an opportunity because the exchange for you and I was not productive for why she was up here. Now, how you translated that to, go ahead.
Coach K, I would like to tell you this. If this was a dick measuring contest, I would pull out just enough to win. All right? So it was never about a dick measuring contest. It was about me defending myself. That a person is talking about me when I'm not on the show. And before I left the show, that person didn't see no wrong in what the other person was doing. And I was trying to bring it to their attention that there was some wrong being done. So I don't get into dick measuring contests because the water's cold and deep.
Yeah. Well, earlier you were talking about my ass and my ass and my ass. Remember when I said, why are you worried about my, do you remember that when I was like, why are you worried about my ass? Because I thought you were really concerned about my ass and getting in it. So I totally understand that you're not dick measuring, but I just want to say, here's another thing that I just felt guilty of.
You see what I just did?
Yeah,
Doc? You see what I just did?
That's what I'm saying.
I turned this shit into comedy. I told you, when I get angry,
comedians, yes.
I turn this shit into comedy every time.
But
nobody's laughing. The shit ain't funny.
Oh, see, and here we go. Here we go.
Coach K, let me
here we go. Somebody's who probably 40 years old, looking like he's about 60, and he hating. I understand that. You hating.
Coach K,
bro, get a neck, and maybe you get a fucking brain.
Wait,
get a neck, maybe you get a fucking brain. That fucking collar is.
You're
an
old man.
Thank you. So here's what happened, Coach K.
Up here crying like a
child. This is what happened.
Ooh, Lord, who hurt you?
So JT, can you actually take him down if he's not? If
yell at my raspy voice because I will.
Right. So here's what's happening, and this is what happens in relationships. And then I'm gonna let you light up lip. All right. So here's what happens in relationships. Notice each time when I said we're gonna move forward, there's something that I'm getting hooked on that I keep going. Okay? This is something that happens in all relationships across the world.
Yes.
One of the things that we want to point out tonight is, am I engaging in my best communication style? Right. Or am I responding to internal stimuli that one's going to outdo the other? And in fact, it's like an inadequacy ladder. I'm going to do one better. I'm going to do one better. My dick is bigger. I'm taller. I'm skinnier. I smoke crack. Huh? What? And then, damn, that was another half an hour.
Sound like
And how
life to
many
me.
times? Yep. And how many times have we said in our relationships, at work, in our personal ones, where I'm done with this conversation and we keep going? Why do we keep going? How many times have we said to each other, listen, you're not going to come at me with the bullshit, and that person walks away, but then we chase them? How many times? So that's the psychology that we're talking about. And if I look at what just happened, I fell into that victimization of, no, you're not gonna. Well, let me give a. So I'm not the victim. Jay Speed's not the victim. Overall, I fell into. There's that accountability piece that SBU was talking about. There's that accountability piece that JT was talking about. Here's where even Trey was talking about, and I see Trey F left off. Good to see. Thanks for being up here.
Thanks
When
for
we were
being
talking
here.
about, it doesn't matter who the victim is. You need to still live while any of you are wasting time fucking around with all that pussy shit. Excuse me, Coach K, for that. But while you guys are fucking around with all that, we still have. So see how all different versions matter. But if we get caught on that mouse sticky trap and not even know it, what Freezy was saying, damn, I didn't even realize I was on the sticky trap. And I probably got that way because my father, I never witnessed like what it was to be strong. And I'm on that sticky trap. And that's the show tonight where we're like, yes, these are all the things that happen. And how does it mess with our psyche? Brother, lost in translation, welcome. Just
Thank
want to
you,
put it
sir.
in time perspective. If we can go about 15 more minutes, this is hot and juicy, but just out of time perspective for whoever needs to go.
Right.
LIT. And welcome back, Trey.
Thank you, sir. Here's the thing. I want to break the fourth wall just a little bit, okay, to make sure that we level set the conversation.
Please don't. Please don't. Please don't. No. Listen. That's called an accommodation.
Right.
Don't accommodate us. In other words, if you reset it,
right,
it wipes away all the wounds.
No. I'm still going to continue to use it. I just want to point out a few things.
All right. I just want
a
to be
different perspective. Yes.
Right. But let me just make this point before you do, where people understand what I'm talking about. Because remember, the show is even in the thing from a psychological perspective.
Correct.
When we reset things, and I'm not talking about the reset that J Speed and Trey F was talking about earlier. I'm not talking about that reset.
Right.
I'm talking about when we like, hey, let's cool the air, let's calm, let's start over.
Correct.
No, we need to know how to self-regulate.
Okay.
We need to know now for the show purpose, yes.
Right.
And for your style, that is what you are masterful. I watch you time after time after time come in with people like LIT, get in there, man, get in there, pull the dicks apart, get in there, get it. You know, like two dogs. Look at Trey, like, oh damn. But like two dogs, and you come out there with just some water. No, it's all good. But what I'm saying for tonight's show, we are going to model. We are going to model self-regulation. Is my only point. But go ahead and work your magic, sir.
Right. From what we're noticing earlier, when you said that we had SB here, right, and it's rare that she's on here. And from a host point of view, you want to make sure that you allow her the space to do what she has to do. And at the same time, we have to moderate the conversation. What I was noticing from Jay is that from Jay Speed is that he felt like he wasn't being heard. Well, I was letting Jay know that we hear you and nobody's trying to take anything from you. We're just making sure that we move the conversation along. And we want to make sure that when we're offered the opportunity of a gift of SB's presence, we want to make sure that we give her the opportunity to say what she has to say. And we don't want to squander our opportunities when she shows up. So that's all I'm saying in those particular situations. But as far as what Trey said earlier, I thought was profound when he said that people, older generations come at him and they say that you should already know this by now. Well, my thing is that's why I came to you for help, you know. And the other week we had a show about inspiration versus manipulation. And in that tactic, that was basically manipulation into moving the opportunity to teach and using shame and say, you should already know this by now. And I noticed that we do that with people who have, like you said, the victim mentality. When they're looking for help, we're saying that you should get over it. Or we're saying that you're in a victim mentality instead of grasping the opportunity to help somebody. You see what I'm saying? We're all in 3 different stages of life, either learning or doing and teaching. And sometimes we forget that we have to teach other people as well, especially when they're asking for our help. So in that capacity, we have to get outside of ourselves and get outside of our egos and say, hey, look, you need help. Let me help you. You see what I'm saying?
Will you
What
say
is it
that part
asking?
again? What's the 3 things again? Would you say for the people in the back, please?
Yeah, we're in 3 phases
We're
of life.
3.
Either
Yes.
we're learning, we're doing, or we're teaching. You see what I'm saying? Because everybody goes through those particular stages. And I think sometimes we get wrapped up in the doing and we automatically assume that, this person already knows when they really don't. We don't know what progression of life that person is in. So we have to make sure that we ask them instead of telling them that you should already know. Ask them, tell me, what do you know?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that way I'll know where to fill in the blanks. Because it's like this conversation you said, I don't want to rehash the same thing. I want to move the conversation forward. So that's the only portion that I wanted to add to the conversation. Whenever we have people who come to us for help, we should ask them and say, hey, what is it that you need us to do? And how can I help? Instead of just saying, you should already know this, or you shouldn't feel the way that you feel. But I felt Trey on that one when he said that.
Right.
Yeah.
So lost in translation, I got a question for you.
Sure.
I think when I came in, I talked about the manual transmit column. I think I talked about the riding a horse. I think I talked about a lot of things that we have did in the past, and I thought it would be embarrassing for a person to put somebody on the internet or anything and just start laughing at them or acting like they stupid or something. I thought that was my whole thing, that I was protecting, that saying we as older people, we have experience and stuff, and these children are in the now. So I don't know where that I was saying anything that anybody else came up behind me did not say themselves. And so my whole thing was, if I'm saying the same thing as someone else is saying it, and I'm saying it in a different way, maybe it goes with your name, lost in translation. Just because something is lost in translation, that don't mean you start taking pot shots at the person and, and not deal with the point, but take personal, you understand what I'm saying? You start personal attacking the person. And I think that's where we got derailed at, because pretty much me and Trey was saying the same thing. You don't embarrass a person who don't know anything. That's why I brung up all them different things that other people did. Say that's why we don't ride a horse. How many people know how to ride a horse? I was making examples of the things that we don't got. How many people know how to do CPROM on a computer? So I think that I was more with what he was saying than not what he was saying. It was almost like, but when the person attack started, that's when I just couldn't go for that.
Right, but that's my whole point earlier, to say that we have to remove our ego. And in this conversation, it was a lot of I. Well, the whole thing is we want to make sure that we keep this thing level set across the board and remove the I language and use the we language. You see what I'm saying? So that way we don't personalize things when we have these types of conversations. That's all I'm saying.
So from a clinical and psychological perspective, Freezy, I'm going to show you an example. The example is in the moment with this particular conversation and what LIT just said and J Speed. One skill set I want to remind those listeners, and please, if you haven't already, hit the like button. If you're here on the replay, hopefully you're enjoying the conversation, please hit the like button, leave comments. The skill set is called resist the urge to be right and resist the urge to be heard in an environment where you just may not be heard. The skill set is resist the urge to be right. So meaning I may know that I'm right, but I'm not going to push back. Resist the urge to be heard, because where is that coming from? Now, Freezy, and where I want to tie it in with psychology. When we say we don't know, but then someone points it out to you, this is the part where I'm saying victimization, or almost like that person is held hostage. They are a hostage in their own world. If I said to you, your answers are coming from defense. LRT says the answers come from ego, but they both come from somewhere because we didn't utilize the skill set of let's not make it about me. I kind of heard your points. Let's move forward. So then, Freezy, how many times am I going to have to hear someone say, I'm stupid, I'm dumb, I'm the fuck up, I'm this, I'm that, before I am actually ready at all times? Since this is a civilized conversation, I'll actually put my hands down. The second you look like you want to bring some harm, I'm ready. The second you take a swing, I'm going for the knockout. Now, with that being said, how many times have we watched content on YouTube where people are saying, why do they keep doing that? How stupid are they? Why they don't get the bigger picture? Because when I'm locked into, as a comedian, I'll put this on me. As a comedian, most comedians have had a life where they didn't feel heard, and the stage is a platform for them. The state, not all, but I'm going to say 90%. There's no stats behind those. No, I haven't done no research on it. I'm just giving an estimate. 90% of comedians and actors and actresses are living their visionary world because at some point they didn't feel heard. Most fighters, not all, but most fighters, especially the ones that go in it strong and win victories. Look at Pacquiao. He was kicking ass because he was fighting for milk. He was fighting for his family. He was fighting for his country. The moment Hollywood kicked in, the moment he started winning a bunch of money and things got comfortable, he started losing. Look at Tiger Woods. He was winning, and having sex with a bunch of women. And the moment he addressed his inadequacy and sexual compulsions and need for sex, the moment he tried to turn it right according to how his wife wants it, the moment he was no longer himself, he hasn't won a championship since. So I'm saying that to say, Freezy, awesome question. When do we ever know? Because we can't see it. One invite is to actually hear when we're getting feedback. If you hear it the first time, it's an incident. You hear it the second time, it's a coincidence. You hear it the third time, and plus, it's a pattern. And at some point, when do we recognize the pattern and be willing to be open to accept it? Doesn't mean you have to change, because once again, when I did change, I got hit. When I turned this way because you said this the right way, I got hit. And now I eventually get to the point where you motherfuckers aren't going to be hitting me no more. You motherfuckers are not going to be. Calm down. Why I got to be a motherfucker? Because I've been betrayed. I've been violated. And now I won't go out like a sucker. And that's all of us. We all in this world have that version. But it might
But
look
Doc,
weak.
if you
Go ahead,
really,
sir.
if you really think about it, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I didn't hear you. Go ahead. I was about to say, wait, but I hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. You know, what I noticed is, and this why I try not to, I got love for everybody, but I try not to be, everywhere in these spaces because you know what I started noticing? When conversations happen on these panels, it just be triggers letting off everywhere. And we don't understand, like people got triggers, right? But we don't understand it's triggers just being letting off all throughout the conversation. And we don't even realize it, right? I'm saying even me, I'm guilty. Like my triggers have been set off, you know what I'm saying? And I, once I cut my computer off, I had to, take a deep dive and look at myself and say, damn, man, I don't want to look like that no more. You know what I'm saying? On YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So, what I had to do was just take self-accountability for myself and then understand that I don't want to look like that no more. But what I realized is, and this ain't even about people on YouTube, just people in real life I've encountered, right? My family. For some reason, some people just don't want to acknowledge their I don't want to say flaws. I don't know how I would say it, but they just don't want to acknowledge it.
Right. But is it a flaw?
Yeah, inadequacies, that's a good one.
Inadequacies, right. But someone said earlier, is it really a flaw or an inadequacy if I find it as a strength? If I find it as a strength, is it I may not even see as it being inadequate. I might see it as you just don't understand me.
A defense mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
maybe.
Mm-hmm. So how
And
do we
every
suggest?
plant and every animal has that.
Yeah.
Everything
And,
in creation, that's the thing about it, Freezy,
Yeah.
is everything that is alive have a defense mode. All right? And when you have come to learn how to master it, it's not a weakness, bro. It's not a weakness at all. When you learn how to master it.
If my trigger
hey,
sets
hey,
off,
Doc, can I
go
can
ahead,
I can I
Trey. Go
address
ahead.
something real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Doc, because your analogy is really good about Tiger Woods.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's not factual. It's inaccurate.
What part?
So you said that Tiger Woods hasn't won anything. He has in fact won.
Oh.
He set a record for tournaments, and he won the Masters in 2019.
Correct.
So I want you to use that analogy because it's great.
Mm-hmm.
But you just leave off the winning part because he has actually won tournaments since that's happened.
Yes, sir.
I say that because I'm an avid golfer.
Yep.
Doc,
Thank you. Yeah.
Doc, I want to add something else on that. Was it because he was trying to please his inadequate with his woman, or he was exposed?
From a psychological perspective, when our dopamine, when any of this stuff is not feeling like we're enough, and then we have multiple streams of it, like a pipeline in business. You have the thing that's making you money while you sleep. You have this going on, multiple pipelines. So this drip into my dopamine, this feel good from this woman, this feel good, and I have a wife. Home is cool, but I have these connections. I have a sense of purpose. My sense of purpose, slinging this dick around, I have a sense of purpose. And when all that is cut, like, okay, I want to do right. Let me go to therapy. Hint, hint, for those who are anti-therapy. Hint, hint. Let me go to therapy. I changed who I am because the therapist said, the therapy says you should have only one person and you have a sex addiction and you need to know how to manage it. When you made that attempt, that closed off the pipeline. And now he just has to go by that one slow drip.
Throw your mojo out.
So what I'm saying, what my question is, Doc, if he had been exposed and the world would have accepted his lifestyle, would it have made any difference?
I think two ways. One, yes, if you accept the person for who they are, it doesn't matter. Why are we in their bedroom? Why is all that? The cameras at her house? Did you know? What if she had turned on and said, yes, I think he was with Felicia last night. Why? What's up? Or if eventually he says, I got to just focus on one wife. I got to learn how to deal with my emotions. I got to learn how to, so I'm actually going to do the work of abandonment issues, of neglect issues, of fathering issues. I got to work on that. So if he had worked on that down the road when he is ready, that's my answer. What'd you say, Trey?
No, I'm laughing because you saying Tiger being with a black chick named Felicia is hilarious. That's not. He don't date black women.
Right. So anyway, I hope that's my answer to you, JSP.
Yeah, because my thing is we see a lot of lifestyles today, a lot of lifestyles today that is accepted.
Yeah.
And if it had been done 30, 40 years ago, it would have been not accepted. And then that's I think the confidence that people, if you are accepted in something, you still have that same confidence to go out there and do what you do best. And that's something I'm saying is it was only to him having to go back and try to be reprogrammed, as you said, his doctor speaking to him and stuff like that. But if he had been accepted and he just been as wild as he could be wild, like Hugh Hefner. Hugh Hefner was exposed a long time ago, but his lifestyle was accepted, so he never stopped what he was doing.
Right.
And so I think it had more to do, just me, I think it had more to do with him being exposed at a time that people just didn't accept that lifestyle.
Right. And even if they did, once we get exposed, sometimes that changes things. Like, because there's a difference when it's in secret. And so you accept and I still get to be me, but it feels a little different. So some people actually still operate a little different. So I just wanted to make a point to you, Freezy, of how one could be like that and not even realize, like, wow, like, am I the one off? I mean, how many times have we thought, am I the fucked up one? Am I not catching this? Am I not? Mostly because of our patterns of thinking. So we didn't do it tonight, but if you tonight, if we would, because now next week, Coach K, if you want, let's do this again, where we actually then talk about some of the steps. I mean, this was good evidence to where some people might be in victim mode, some people may not, but not being a victim, but being in that trap.
Right.
So if each one of us, because I think each one of us have value, each one of us have value in a different perspective, and I think it's all wonderful. I would like, if you would please, offer one or two suggestions on how do people get out of not being a victim, but identifying with that ideology, identifying with that code, if that makes sense. Whoever wants to start.
I'll go first, Don. One of the things that we probably need to do is put ourselves on the other side of the problem instead of wearing the problem like a coat. Because whenever we put the coat on, it becomes a part of who we are. You see what I'm saying? Instead of what happened to us. So the minute we're able to sit across the table from the problem and we have somebody sit next to us, then we're stronger because we're focusing on the problem and not identifying ourselves as the problem. So I think that's my final thought in that particular situation.
Thank you. The clinical skill set to what Lit just mentioned, and he mentioned his own, so I'm not saying the clinical version of that is called opposite action. Intentionally do is DBT. You intentionally do the opposite of action of what you feel. I should just beat his ass right now. Stop. Let's just do the opposite. How come? Stop. Let me see the other perspective. So that skill set is called opposite action. The way LIT said it was perfect. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, and I'm gonna end my final thought. In the Nation of Islam, I'm trained by some of the greats. I did security for Dr. Khalid Muhammad for almost 11 years. And I studied Muhammad Ali, how he did things, how he was able to master certain techniques to get certain response from people. And I champion on that. Anybody who ever followed me on these YouTube streets know that every battle I get into, I'm going to find a way to scratch myself out of the corner, kick, scratch, whatever, joke, whatever, because I am human. I have, just like everybody else, everybody has faults, but I learned how not to identify with my faults. I learned how to strengthen my faults. And if I'm going to stand on a square, I don't care if you're police, I don't care if you're the government, I don't care who you are. I am a free man, a free body, and I'm going to say what the hell I want to say. And I'm going to express myself. And it's been a while in my life, maybe 21 years, I have not embarrassed myself yet because I'm me. And I'm not trying to be nobody else. I understand my journey and what my journey is all about. And that's why I do study some of the greats who can trigger people's minds and trigger people just in general.
Awesome. If I may, if we were to say what you just said in psychological terms or psychology terms. So one, not accepting the narrative. I am not a walking trauma. I am not a flaw. I am not, and I have these flaws, but I'm going to strengthen them and use them to my advantage. And where it's no longer going to be a flaw, you might think it is, but that's where you're going to get whooped because you thought it was a flaw, but it is actually now my strength. In the jails, what looks like this old raggedy toothbrush. But then when I'm using it to defend myself, jabba, wow, bam, ow. See, you thought it was just a regular, and I was the dumb one with just a toothbrush, right? I was the one with the crack bucket all the time, walking with water. By the time I go from one end to the other end, all the water seeped out. I'm the idiot. Well, you didn't know that same trail happens to have a bunch of beautiful flowers from all that water that seeped out. So now I actually have green. So awesome. And again, that style in the psychology world, not accepting the narrative, rewriting the narrative and making it your strength. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, having spent a career dealing with victims, I always asked a question in my interviews, and that question was, what could you have done differently? And not in a way of this happened to you because you didn't do this, just reflecting. If you could do it over again, what would you have done differently? And I use this tactic because typically it got me into the mind of the suspect and the aggressor. Why did they choose you? What about you stuck out that made them want to choose you to make you a victim? This is why I asked that question. So self-responsibility is the one thing I would say. Take a second, look at it and say, is there anything about this that I could have done differently? Not necessarily that would have not made me a victim, but going forward in the future, I won't put myself in that position again. The second thing I would say is that we live in a society where people don't want to say no. They're scared to say no. It's okay to say no. You can tell people no. Here's the funny thing about saying no, though. It may require you to fight for it. You may have to tell somebody no, and there may actually have to be some physical energy or exertment behind that no. You may actually have to do something about that no. Sometimes people hear the word no and they ignore the word no, right? I dated a woman, I would tell her no, and she would just keep going. She would just keep asking for the same thing over and I would I already answered that question. No. Yeah, but what about no? But what about no? Okay, listen, you're not hearing me. Let me try something else, right? So it's okay to say no so that you don't put yourself in a bad position. I will say this though, as for men, and I mean this for men, we have this thing where we don't want to be victims. And in some cases, the title matches. You are a victim. And a lot of the times, because you don't want to be a victim, you aren't necessarily getting the proper help and treatment that you need because you're refusing to identify as a victim. Sometimes being a victim is actually the proper designation for what has happened to you and what needs to happen to you going forward to deal with the trauma. So every time we use the word victim, it isn't always negative. And I'll land my plane with this. We have to stop using victim as an insult on people. We have a tendency to tell people, oh, you're a victim, but we're not using it the proper way. We're using it to insult them. And that's not okay.
Excellent. Thank you. If I may just give some clinical versions of what it would be called in the clinical version. And the reason I keep doing this behind each one is because I want to prove each one of our perspectives. There's actually a clinical piece, like it's actually like evidence-based something. We just may not be calling it that. So what I heard Trey say is one, and I had to take a few little notes here. One, getting the proper information. So understanding the definition behind words, the definition behind what is the meaning, not just the definition, what is the meaning? And then responding to what you know that meaning to be. Do I even need to? Or maybe I should. Honoring oneself. We've lost so much honor in ourselves and we've devalued ourselves. Having honor for yourself, valuing who you are as you are, and I also took away this being able to problem solve and critically think. Being able to problem solve and critically think. And sometimes you have to do that in milliseconds. And last, problem solve, critical thinking, and being able to consider additional perspectives. Consider additional perspectives. That's what I took away from Trey. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right, I'll go next. First thing is to understand what victimhood is. Second thing is to understand what victimhood is not. There was some very good points that was made, so it's going to make mine even shorter. But you also got to understand also is that there's always something that you've done to put you in that situation. Always something that you've done. It's not blame or anything, but it goes to what Trey said earlier. What was it when you look at it and you roll it back over? What was it that I could have done or not done that wouldn't have put me in that space? Right? That's one of the things we have to do. Accountability. This is the reason why we have to know what victimhood is and what victimhood is not and where we stand at. And then the last one I'll put is to seek counsel. Have someone to be able to usher you out of that victimhood. I land there.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. If I may just make some noise, points on what I took away. That ushering, I say, please don't forget about your spiritual connection. Don't forget about your connection with the elders. Don't forget about your connections with siblings or people who can usher you, lead you, guide you, help you, support you, protect you, even just listen to you. Don't ignore that or get reconnected. Get connected if you don't have it. Supports. Get support. Yeah, we're strong. We can do it ourselves, but don't be so strong, so above help and support. Accountability, that speaks for itself. But we have to be willing and open to take accountability. Willing, open, and have the courage. And I think, Coach, when you and I talk, we talk about, well, some people need a plan to actually take accountability. Some people don't know how to do it in a way that's productive. So taking accountability and having the courage to do it and the motivation, which we want to tap into. We didn't get into the motivation, but motivation. So many people talk about the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. I love the fact that you're talking about is and is not. Is and is not, and know the difference and not get caught up in the woulda, shoulda, couldas. I say every relationship brings, every person in any relationship, work, personal, or family, brings 2% of the problem. There's no one person 100% responsible for all the problems in the relationship. We all bring at least 2%. Know the 2% that you bring is what I took away from you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
It's my turn.
Freezy or Trey F. A couple of times Trey was about that and he's like, God damn it, they took what I was gonna say. But all right, but go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say how I've learned how to step out of victimhood is this is the thing, right? I went on a conquest to absorb as much information as possible to be a better man every day. My goal was to be, improve myself as much as I can, learn as much as I can. But I couldn't do it for a long time because I didn't want to accept humility. And what I learned how to do now is live in humility, right? Now that wasn't an easy process because who wants to feel humiliated on the inside? When I was growing up, I growed up fighting all the time. Me and my homeboy, we used to fight all the time. My daddy, my dad was he thought he was the shit, but he really wasn't. You know what I'm saying? My mama was mean and surly. Everybody was tough. Everybody thought they was the shit. So I growed up thinking I was the shit and really didn't have nothing. And so the reason why people have a hard time with being called a victim, what they do is, even though they might be living in victimhood, they defend it very harshly just to show you they're not a victim when they might be a victim, right? So what I had to do was admit, I might be living in victimhood. It's how I broke out of it was just to live in humility. And that's not an easy task. I know just me saying that is, I'm just saying I had to work my way into that. And a lot of it was spiritual with the Bible and my relationship with the Most High. But once I learned how to live in humility, and you get that when you feel humiliated, you get that little heartburn, in your chest and stuff. You feel a little, it's just like embarrassed, but I learned how to absorb it and live in it. And now guess what? I can be quiet longer and listen. Maybe I was wrong. And then once I come out of it, the first conversation, the first successful argument that I had with somebody, I was able to stay quiet long enough to realize, oh, they didn't mean it that way. And then I realized, this is how that shit worked. So, that's what I took. Humiliation really kind of, that's what I recommend. You just try to learn how to live in humility.
Yes. Thank you, sir. If I may translate some of this, gratitude, having gratitude and being able to be humble. Having gratitude, thankful for whatever you have at the level you have it, and learning to be humble. Know what to defend and what not to defend, because sometimes you might jump on the wrong bandwagon. You might actually be on the wrong trail, following for a long time, and then we ate up time. At the same time, once you get to that destination, learn which direction you need to go to get to where you want to go. It was never intentional that you were on that bandwagon. You thought it was the way to go. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes we believe that's the right way to go, but it's not until we have our own experience or we feel that we realize this is not the route that is meant for me. Be in tune with your body sensations. I also heard that. Be in tune. For those who do yoga, meditation, deep breathing, muscle relaxation, start to know where that energy is and let go of the energy that doesn't serve you, or know how to shift that energy to a spot that's better for you to endure. One thing I heard, and I'm not sure where you were going with it. I mean, I heard you, but I want to offer it in a clinical perspective from this. Oftentimes you hear, and Coach K and I, when we do the root cause, and we talk about the bookends. When I talk about the bookends, is your current situation and then the 4 to 8-year-old situation. Please keep in mind, sometimes when we think our people are not shit, please remember, because we were impacted by their stuff at a young age, only to find out later they were a piece of shit. Please remember, they had a 4 to 8-year-old story as well. So sometimes their piece of shit is not their doing. That's why we talk about 3 generations back. So before I blame a parent or someone, like how stupid they were, how fucked up they were, and then we'll say they should have knew better. Shoulda, coulda, woulda versus is not. And in their world, if that was the best they could do, although we see they could have done better, but please remember, everyone has a 4 to 6-year-old story that they were impacted by. So the psychological version is have understanding and grace for those who deserve it, and also have limits and boundaries. And that's someone who just spoke earlier. I meant to add that I also heard you talk about having boundaries. So having boundaries to those who are just on some bullshit because they had a bad, rough life doesn't mean I get to endure all that bullshit. No, there are some boundaries. When you get it, you'll get it. I'm here when you get it. I can only allow so much. So that's what I took away. Thank you, Brother Freezy, for sharing. Trey F. Oh, just like J Speed and a bunch of others, JT, all of you on the panel that have shows. World Class and others. One thing I did hear, I didn't mention, Freezy, self-improvement. Self-improvement is huge. I heard you say, I took that away as well. And that's something that I don't think people do enough of. Growing, learning, because we're told, why are you wasting money going to the school system? But you don't have to go just to the school system. You can do other things to journey and find out who you are. So learning and self-improvement. Thank you, Freezy. Brother Trey F.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm gonna try to put this the best way possible. So I'm gonna ask the question, and this is for other people that may be listening. We all have a shadow, correctly? A shadow. We all have a shadow, right? Typically, our shadow is always where? Behind us. When our shadow is behind us, normally we carry a lot of that shadow weight. Things that may have happened to us, things that may have hurt us, things that may have gave us the wrong thought process and took us down the wrong road, made some mistakes, did some sneaky stuff, whatever it was. That shadow was always tripping us up, always. And as long as that shadow stays behind you and you don't put it in front of you, it's going to continue to trip you up. So the secret is you have to sort of turn and face the shadow, keep the shadow in front of you, and everywhere you move, you have to keep that shadow in front of you, because now you can identify those triggers or some of those triggers that may bring you back into the victim mindset. Because after so long, your shadow it makes you start thinking like, man, it ain't gonna never be my time. I ain't gonna never do it. So, but once you get that shadow in front of you, you can start to identify your triggers. It's not just going to come in a week or two. It's going to take maybe a couple of birthdays for some of us to really understand. But as long as that shadow's in front of you, you can see where those triggers are. You can see where people start to be a part of that triggering process. You can see where you make bad decisions. Your decision making gets better. And the secret is once you regurgitate that process, once you get it out, like a lot of people talk about their traumas, this happened to me, this happened to me. The secret is once you regurgitate it, one, be careful who you tell those stories to. You have to be very careful because if they do you no good, then they're going to always keep you in that victim mindset because victims love each other. They don't leave me. I'm a victim. You can't leave me, so I need you close. But once you be careful who you regurgitate it to. And once you throw it out into the fire, you can never own it back. You can no longer be a victim from that point because now you understand what those things are. And now it's all about your decision making. And as you evolve into a man, into a woman, you have to be very cautious of who you allow into those intimate spaces. And we see it, we hear it all the time, how people are saying, oh, this person did this to me, this person did that to me. But then when you really dig, we made that decision to allow them to do that. So you just have to be very careful. Continue to understand that you have to continue to build on the information. You have to continue to build in your spaces. We all have a comfortable space. Sometimes we got to step out and look back. And I'm not going to go too long because it's a whole exercise that I get into. But I'm going to say this to some of you younger folk, some of you younger generation that don't. I'm going to take you back old school. It's a song by Kenny Rogers. I think it's called Know When to Hold Up. Go listen to that song and apply every little facet of that song to your life and see if you still remain a victim after you apply. You got to apply it to every situation that you can and see how it works out for you. Normally, it'll help you get past some of that.
Awesome. Beautiful. Let me try and capture some of that. Thank you. Thank you. Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton. I mean, wait. No, sorry. My bad. I messed it up. All right.
Dolly, that's my boo right there.
Yeah, right. Quit playing. When you mentioned Kenny Rogers, I'm like, yeah, that or the restaurant. What's up?
That's
all right. Yeah. So here's what I took away. Self-improvement. Shadows could either be your trauma or your experiences, your pains, your evils, your devils, your sins, or the pain or whatever, the stuff that you're lugging around, or that's haunting you, to know how to get that monkey off your back, put it in front of you, know how to, and even though I think there's a long going joke between Jay Speed and I, but I'm going to say this, know how to dick dodge. And what I mean by that is the fuckery that's before you, the chaos that's before you, the business that doesn't benefit you that's before you, know how to move with it, know how to have balance in your life. Now I'm trying to recap. So just a second. Did I mention empowerment? So what I take away from what you were saying is knowing how to have empowerment, self-improvement, and also be wise with the relationships that you choose. Be wise with the relationships that you choose because you have to know how that's going to drain you, not drain you, benefit you, not benefit you. Okay. So that's just what I take away from that. There's several different options on how to do those things as far as like, what Coach K and I would say. But I think those are the key elements that I took away. If I missed anything, please add to it. But that's what I took away from a psychological perspective.
Yeah. And another thing, just being able to identify those things. That's why you have to put that shot in. So you can always identify when those things may occur. Right. Sometimes you can get ahead of them. That's a lot. So
can I add one more caveat to this conversation?
Please do.
It's some people that don't want to change and don't want to look at things differently. And my advice is to get the hell away from them people. I just want to say that too.
Well, there's benefits in it. If I end up being better, I lose out on the benefit that I've had that's kept me this way for so long, right? If I win arguments by telling you all kind of bad things and make you feel bad, you're telling me you shouldn't be so abusive. Yeah, what am I going to do? See, many people unarmor and change, and then it's extremely vulnerable. extremely vulnerable, and that sensitivity is scary. They don't know how to do it. So sometimes people hold on to the bullshit. Some people hold on to traumas and stuff,
They need
not
to come
even
see you,
knowing.
doc. They need
Right,
to come
right.
see you.
Right. But all of us, because for those who don't go to see, those who can't afford, those who don't have the services available, there's some people in certain communities, they don't have these services readily available. But already we had a mixed bag of martial arts tonight. Each one of us offered something that could help change a life if people are willing to hear, open to it. Each one, I mean, I just spitted the psychological, I spitted the fancy word version of what every one of us said to do. You gave the real life version. So true, they should come see therapists. They should go see coaches. They should try and get their life together. They should go see
You and
spiritual
Coach K.
advisors.
Yeah.
Right. They should go see spiritual advisors. They should go talk to a mentor. But until I get there, I have to overcome shame. I have to overcome guilt. I have to overcome worrying about how I'm supposed to do this and am I doing it the right way? Who am I doing it for? They have to gain an identity. Some people don't know who they are, who they want to be. And so the way things are going right now, it works for me. You know how many times I keep saying Mr. and Mrs. He said, talks about food content and all that. And even though I keep using it as an example, my fat ass is still sitting up here with a Burger King cup and then talk and then right and then speak to it. Well, you know what they said, and I gotta do better. But your fat ass is still sitting up there drinking it. So when is it going to be the better? When is it going to be the better? Oh, soon. Hmm. So I agree with you, Freezy. I agree with you, Freezy. And in closing, Coach K and I are going to close it out. I can't thank you enough. Now, I would say, see how that naturally works. So even though love the way you do it, what you do, we all self-regulated. We all chose to resist the urge to get one more. We all also defended ourselves. We all showed an example of pause, but I ain't forgot what I was going to say and know how to come back to it. We all, I mean, look how Trey F, I think you spoke the least amount of time tonight, but you've been here the entire time. Your presence alone. You know what I mean? People benefit just from having someone in their presence, just by having someone show up, just by having someone listen to them, someone to laugh with them. J Speed, you already know humor is, you can't, I don't think people can even gauge the benefit of humor realistically. I don't think people really understand it. It is one of the most powerful, and I think this network shows it often. I mean, how many shows have the craziest things have been said? People are cracking the hell up, right?
And then
And
left hook.
yes, and so tonight was a perfect balance. I'm Coach A, I can't speak for you, but Coach, I'm honored that we shared in this space. Let me again extend my apologies to SBU. Lit, you said it perfectly. J Speed, you said you spoke to it. It's an honor to have her on the show. If it felt like a shot, so I can't see beyond the tip of my nose, but at the same time, I'm no idiot. I know what I said was to say, hey, even SBU ran, but not ran as in she couldn't hold herself, ran as in, damn it, we missed an opportunity. So I want to say, I want to extend an apology if it comes off as disingenuous or disrespectful. That's not the intent, but ownership of, fuck, we missed out on an opportunity and boom. So that part I'm not apologizing for. I feel like we missed an opportunity, but things work the way that they work. She did get a chance to show herself and to be here and sharing our energy with us. Also, Mr. He said shared in our energy with us before he had to go. So I thank everyone who came out tonight. Thank you for having this conversation. And any other last things before Coach K and I wrap it up?
I want to just say, I want to ask you one thing. See, and we're going to have this conversation probably in the back somewhere. Do you ever believe that all that we talk about, that there may be one person or two people on here has went through all them phases, and then they get to another phase and they just say, not say, but no. There's not anything coincidental. And after all that knowledge and all that you learn and all them different paces, I don't act like this if I'm in a meeting with a Fortune 500 or I don't have this same energy if I'm doing an audition. I don't have this same energy. But you go through these phases through life. Would you believe that there's a time when you get in life where you be saying, you know what? I think Dr. Clark said it. And I'm not saying this to take shots at no one, but this is how he said. He said, when I sit down now in my elder years, I only want to teach. I don't have debates with people who's not on my level. I have conversation to teach. Now, that's not verbatim what he said, but that's what he meant. There's a part when you go get in life, where you get a certain, it's something gonna thump you over your head. And you go see everything for what it is, and you, whatever you might be lucky enough to experience all of this, what we talked about tonight. And you sit back and you look at it, and none of it, you look at it for what it really is. And I can't say what I really want to say because this is what I say on my channel, but I think you know where I'm going with this. And I think there was only one movie that was made close to this, and it came from a great mind. And she wrote The Terminator 2, and more people ain't gonna never give her credit, and there's always be what's the name. But it's The Matrix. Once they got where they understood what they was involved in, all the other stuff and all the taste, all the touch and all of that, and then it's not to take away from anything we talked about tonight, you go have to get to a point to have real freedom, I believe, and I live by now. To have real true freedom, you have to look at things for just the way they are. And when you put them under the microscope, you understand there's nothing coincidental. This night was not coincidental. It's going to help some people who's going through that phase where we're talking about. But there are some people, I would never go to the minister and tell him that he has to change anything. He's lived a lifetime. And I know there's a difference between him and Dr. Khalid, and I love both of them brothers. But what I would tell you, that was their journey.
For a reason.
For a reason.
Right. Yeah. Beautiful.
I'm going to go ahead and say one last thing.
Yeah.
Coach K, Doc, I want to thank you guys for coming out every single week. You guys have no idea the amount of people that you're helping day by day. They may not catch us live, but eventually they will. And I'm pretty sure it's going to help somebody somewhere. And if you are watching at home, please make sure that you support the host. When you get an opportunity, make sure you drop in the Cash App. It's going across the screen. Make sure you hit the like button and make sure you share this content and let everybody know to come see Dr. Nkumbe and Coach K and come over here and support the channel and support them in all their endeavors. Want to say thank you guys for coming out and showing up and doing the work each and every week. And I think we should give you your flowers when you're here and say thank you. That's all I wanted to say about that. Appreciate y'all and everything that you do.
Much appreciated, much appreciated, much appreciated. I do it with you, so thank you, thank you, thank you. Family. I'm gonna drop everyone off. Coach K and you and I, thank you all again. Much, much appreciated. Much love to you all. I'll catch you on the rebound.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Peace.
Have a good night.
Coach. Woo! What it do, huh?
This was good, though. There's so many things to take from this, for sure.
Right? Man, we have like months, years of content, just like if we chop this up.
Yeah, I love it, though.
Thanks for your patience. Again, modeling allowance. Because watch this, as a host, you exhibited and showed how to sit back and allow space. Because sometimes people get into I'm the, and these titles, right? These titles. Thank you for exhibiting patience, calm. Thank you for exhibiting facilitation and guiding and allowing people. So that was excellent. I think that was awesome, awesome, awesome. Because some people may say it's weakness. Oh, you didn't let Coach cook. Coach didn't cook. But Coach, you were cooking. Sometimes it's a slow roast. Sometimes it's a slow, right? So
yeah.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you though, because, and I was noticing this while I was listening, that I'm one too where I'm like, confrontation, but at the same time though, and you know this as a coach and also as uh, a psychologist, that there are times where you have to push back and challenge your client or your patient, and that is a little uncomfortable. But so I want to thank you though for also challenging, because before it got, the part,
Yeah.
but still challenging some of the statements and the beliefs, because that's where the work is and that's where
Right.
quote unquote the smoke is. But that's what I love, that like I live for that, because it's like, ooh, that's where it's really interesting. That's where we pull out the thoughts, we pull out the beliefs, because we're oftentimes we say things or we have beliefs that we've never questioned.
Right.
So I want to thank you for, because sometimes I'm a baby and I'm like,
We we balance each
but
other out. Yeah.
yes. So so it was great. And honestly, th- I love it. I love it. There was
Yes.
so much good. Yeah. We're going to have to talk about it. Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Yes.
But this was a
Please
great
take
show.
note, because then next week, if we don't mind doing a triple, really dissecting, and then how do we respond to this versus react? How do we manage these realities? How do we deal with these?
Yeah.
All of what we saw, like we do our own replay, what do they call it when you
Review
watch it? Peer
or
review. We can do our
reaction.
own review or reaction.
Reaction.
Yeah, we make our own
Yeah.
reaction video and give input on like how do you deal with it? How do you respond to that? What do you do? What was
Yeah.
the courage for someone to come back? The courage to come back, right?
The
And open the
courage,
camera.
but your courage too, though, to say, yeah, that was my bad, because I will say
Mm.
that takes work to
hmm
not to be able to
hmm
say that, to even identify that, but also
hmm
to admit it. That
Right,
is
right,
huge. And I was like, ooh, that is tough
right.
that you did that though.
Ownership, right?
Yes.
A few of the guys, I'm trying to think of who, but a few of them talk about respect. Part of my being able to take ownership is
Mhm.
because of being able to respect. Like,
Mm.
hey, I can push back, but what does that do? I have some old school thinking where I respect elders and I also believe in shame and all that. And then I have the new school thinking of no, you don't just get to do whatever. But knowing how to put that in perspective and then utilizing the tools that we have. Some people listen to this and eat popcorn like, wow, that was cool, that was interesting, that was funny, that was whatever. But then we let it go. Please, ladies and gentlemen, and whoever else listening to the show live and or the replay, take as many tools from every single one of us. Every single
Mhm.
one of us on this show tonight. I call it again
Mhm.
mixed martial arts. You can pick any style you want, any one tool you want. Please add that to your tool bag. Because I think there is an element of what you do know. I know in coaching, we actually believe that you just need confirmation. You just need permission. Confirmation, permission, motivation, and encouragement. You got this. You've got this.
Right.
So, with that being said, I loved it, loved it, loved it. I want to
Yeah.
apologize to those who are not used to maybe some of the theatrics. I mean, people know my theatrics, but usually when it gets with all the cursing and the ussy words and all that, you usually don't see me as part of that. But that's that adaptability. We all have an element of it. So please don't run away from your ability to be adaptive. That's actually a skill set. I thank
Right.
BMU for allowing this space for us to have these conversations. Okay, the permission, the allowance. Just so you know, BMU's been nothing but gracious to say it's you guys' show. You
Right.
guys' show. I'm not going to tell you what to say, what not to say, and then risk, to take the risk that we might say something that the feeds push back on, and then it impacts
Right.
the network. So being
Right.
willing to take the risk for us, but not just us as providers for us, but as a community for everyone. I'll take the risk of having these content providers come on, this network of people that I trust to do their thing and to give back overall. So we
Mhm.
thank each and every one of you for being here, for listening. I
Absolutely.
don't see the chat, so whatever pushback people may have had or challenges, I can't see it, so it wasn't that I was ignoring you. So I apologize for that. At the same time, I look forward to listening to the replay and catching up with Coach K. Yes, good. So again, it wasn't to ignore you. Thank you for whoever's here, whoever stopped through. And again, SBU, hopefully you caught the end of this. Unintentional. At the same time, I'm taking ownership, like missed opportunity, but I love the fact that you came at all. Mr. He said and Mrs. She said, thank you so much for being here. Lost in translation. Thank you. Coach K, I want you to notice also when you have people you can depend on. When I talked about, I forget which one talked about supports. I made note about having support. When you have people you can depend on. Again, you have a network where LIT can jump in for a few minutes. Lost What We Know podcast, and JT comes up to say, "Hey, I've got your back. We can jump in." You saw in the back chat, "Hey, I'm gonna switch controls. I'm gonna give this to you." Having that person you can give to you, or not having that. I consider Trey solo, right? Like pretty much his own man, but he makes his way. So regardless, if you have someone, don't have someone, make your way solo or make your way as a team, whatever it is. All we ask is that you look at the mentality that you are in while you're doing it. Are you trapped in this victim identity, trying to put this coat on that doesn't belong to you? Are you stuck in this coat because it feels so comfortable and this is all you know? So we're calling the coat brand, the brand of the jacket is called victim identity. You're just wearing the brand. It doesn't mean you are the victim. And I agree that word is used loosely, but we're talking about the mentality.
Right.
All
Good
right.
distinction. Yep. That's
Coach,
a good one.
love it.
Thank
I'll see you next week. Peace.
Sounds good. We'll talk. Bye.